last but not least, for Crimsica Solos groups needed, 2,717, giving us a player count of 2,717 to 10,870. So then this player went on to say that this would require a total amount of 14,946 to 59,783 players to maintain until the deadline. So that right there is probably a rough estimation, but when it comes down to it, we do not have that many players as of right now. I mean, if you were to look at the Steam player count, it's currently at like 32,000 with its 24-hour peak, and then right now I believe there's only 27,000 players online. So there's a big difference between the estimated numbers and what we actually have. However, about an hour later, for some strange reason, the common samples were magically collected within an hour, and the third goal had increased by a quarter. Now, some are suggesting that this is due to hackers, while others think the developers may have made a mistake. Is it possible? I think so. They've done it before with the Terminate Major Order in the past that required us all to exterminate a certain number of bugs. Well, it turned out at the time, the game was actually triple counting the kills, and perhaps that is what we're seeing here. On the other hand, it could be that the hackers or modders are increasing the numbers of samples collected in one session. With that being said, let's get back to the numbers, because they have continued to skyrocket and have increased so much that the third goal on the list is now completed. I'm not really too sure what to say here, guys. I think there's a good chance that the game has been hacked, and the numbers have increased because of that. On the other side of the coin, there's a chance that the samples could be triple counted, just like the Terminate Ammo was with the bug kills. Now, about 30 minutes later, the major order has now been completed. As of right now, support team member B Vitamin has reported this issue to Joel and wrote this on the Helldivers 2 Discord. I've informed Joel, but don't know anything else at the time. I'm not going to start making guesses at what happened or will happen, because if it turns out I was wrong, I will surely perish. So as of right now, who knows what's going on, but I'm pretty sure it's one or the other, either a fault in the code, or someone has officially hacked the game and collected nearly all the samples. So which one is it? Well, it turns out that the game was actually hacked. So right here it says, Super Earth High Command has detected a large batch of counterfeit samples within the delivery of the last major order. As is customary, medals have been awarded to all Helldivers who have honorably performed their duties, and the ones submitting false samples have had their pet fish summarily executed. Laboratories all across Super Earth space are attempting to filter out the false samples, but the expected scientific advances to combat the spread of the gloom have decreased significantly. As a result of this, worlds near the gloom have begun resettlement protocols. So yeah, it turns out that it's not the developer's fault, but the game was actually hacked. Speaking of samples, there's a potential bug running amok, and apparently some players are claiming that they're unable to properly extract the sample. The support team member over on Helldivers 2 official Discord had this to say in the Mission Tactics channel. B Vitamin wrote, "Howdy Helldivers, has anyone ran into a situation on difficulty 10 where you are able to get more than one confidential data in a mission, causing rewards to bug out? If so, please DM me. I'm investigating this and have questions." Then there's a member on the Discord that asked, "Is it a bug?" And support team member responded with, "People are saying samples aren't awarded if this happens, so I'm looking into it on the devs' behalf. Please send me a DM if you've had multiple bot heads bug larva spawn in one mission." Alright, as you can see, there are some issues surrounding the confidential data. I wasn't aware of this until recently because I cannot stand to be on the automaton planet after the latest update, especially because you guys know how the new barrage tanks work. They do not have a weak spot on them like the normal tanks do, but hey, I digress. So the item is completely bugged, and this has been reported on Reddit by a player who said, "Confidential data is bugged, all mission samples can be lost." Then this player went on to say, "It's possible for 3 confidential data to spawn inside of the automaton fortress. However, extracting with more than one of them causes the game to glitch out. You will be awarded none of the samples from that mission that you collected. This occurred 3 times to my group last night. Each time we received nothing. In the post-mission screens, the operation status will glitch to show 3 ICBM mission symbols. It will then skip samples collected screen and finally put you back on the ship. Skipping the stats, your sample count will not change." And to show some further proof, there's a player on Reddit who also posted this image right here that clearly shows 3 skulls, which are confidential datas. This right here, I've never seen something like this on the Terminate side with the Mega Nest. So I believe this is mainly an issue with the Automaton planets only. If you have experience with this as well, let me know in the comments below. Next, the community is actually helping out the developers with their known issues. As you all know, recently the latest hotfix included some known bugs, and the Escalation to Freedom update, the patch prior to the hotfix, also had some known bugs as well. There's a Reddit member here who posted this with the title that says, "Other known issues not included in the official known issues 1.001.003. With that said, here's what Arrowhead hasn't mentioned in their known issues yet. Weapon damage reduced when walking backwards. This first one, I wasn't even aware was a bug, and I wasn't even sure if that's even possible, but I guess it is. The second one is enemy weapons sometimes shoot through terrain. This right here I've noticed quite a lot with factory striders and sometimes those smaller enemy types. Now, especially if you're behind cover, right, and there's a grenade thrown, it will still knock you back regardless, which is pretty crazy because, you know, there's supposed to be this whole idea that the game is supposed to be realistic, right, and it's supposed to have realism, but that right there, I don't think that's real. But anywho,
I thought I killed that
we
thing.
have players who can become stuck on the sides of the Pelican ramp. This one specifically I haven't encountered just yet, thankfully, because that sounds terrible. But yeah, this right here is another known issue that isn't on the Arrowhead list, essentially. Anyways, number 4, Nuke Nursery mission can soft lock from an uninteractable terminal. This one has been around for quite some time. Surprised it's not been fixed just yet. But yeah, that one's been around since the mission was first released. So yeah, it's been quite some time. Number 5, cause of death, wrong frequently. This right here, I believe, this player is talking about the issue where it pops up and it says that you actually took yourself out instead of, you know, the robot or a bug. So that's pretty much what that is.
Holy damn it.
Number 6, player armed hell bombs don't always explode when destroyed. Yeah, this one's pretty common, guys. So what this is right here, if you guys do not know, you can actually activate a hull bomb and walk away and shoot it and it will explode, or if, you know, an enemy does it, that can also happen. But yeah, now you can actually explode these hell bombs. But the developers, I guess, did not put enough testing into it, or the QA team didn't. And so yeah, as of right now, sometimes those hell bombs will not explode. Number 7, cannot dive to prone while swapping weapons. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this one specifically. I don't recall experiencing that one either. The next one says enemies can spawn within eyesight of the player. Yeah, this is pretty common as well. The next one says players cannot be muted while they're selecting their loadout. That's not a big deal for me. Spirit vessels bounce off the factory striders back.
How do I dodge this thing?
Without exploding. Then next at number 11, anti-tank mines not damaging automaton tanks. This one's big. I'm surprised that the anti-tank mines do not infect tanks. It seems a bit odd because it's an anti-tank mine, right? Am I wrong or am I right? I don't know. You guys tell me that down below in the comments. Anyways, the next one says, enemies can get stuck in stomp loops on destructible terrain while pathing. I've seen that specifically with the Hulks. Enemies are missing footstep sounds. Pretty common too. I think that has happened with the Chargers specifically. Continuing forward, map-generated HMG emplacements fire one shot when entered for the first time. HMG emplacement ammo remaining icons used the player's primary weapon icon instead.
Bro!
Random coordinates terminated minigame does not use F or 6 column row. I really don't see how that's a big issue. I mean, why? I mean, is it? Anyways, the next one says barbed wire damage rounds to 0 when vitality booster equipped. And last but not least, remember aim mode setting and correctly resetting to death or on death. So these are the list of issues that have not been, I guess, reported, or maybe they have, but they're not listed on the known issues. Anyways, there's a lot here on the list I was not aware of. For example, walking backwards reduces damage to something I didn't even know about, and that's just insane. What I would like to know is your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. So if you haven't played in the last few weeks or so, you'll notice there is this massive spore cloud on the galactic war map that's growing larger each week, and it's sort of pushing towards super. Now some vessels were sent into the gloom, also known as the spore cloud, but the vessels never made their way back. For example, right here it says, the massive interstellar spore cloud known as the gloom now occupies massive swathes of terminate space. All vessels sent into the gloom, both manned and unmanned, have ceased radio contact within minutes.
Whoops.
Now have returned. We have only one remaining recourse. The Helldivers must procure samples of terminate organic matter from the planets closest to the gloom. What you may notice is that the briefing talks about collecting samples, and I'm not entirely sure if this was the right major order to give us, because as you guys have heard, it's been hacked. But also considering almost everyone has maxed out on samples and has completely upgraded their ship. Recently, I upgraded my entire ship and now have no need to collect samples unless I'm trying to reach the capital. However, this new major order requires us all to pick up quite a lot of samples. For instance, right here it says, successfully extract with 45 million common samples on Night 43, successfully extract 15 million rare samples on Earth and Sands, and last but not least, successfully extract with 10 million samples of rare samples on Crimson. This right here did not settle well with the community. I'll cover a few examples. The first player commented, I'm sure that all the Helldivers stocked to the caps with samples will jump at the chance to participate. The next player said, let Super Earth burn, let the galaxy burn. Another mentioned, if only we had workable flamethrowers to deal with the bug threat, wouldn't that be amazing? And then the last Helldiver wrote, this is why they need to increase the metals, samples, and currency amounts. I'm maxed out and have zero incentive to even attempt it. And as you can tell, not a lot of players were excited about this. I could go on because there was quite a few more comments, but I'm not going to. I will say that the complaints about the flamethrower are justified, but that has nothing to do with the major order, so I completely understand the Helldivers out here who have collected a crap ton of samples and are not motivated by this MO, because to be completely honest, overall I have to agree that the major order does not motivate me one bit, yet even so, I will still help out, or, well, I was helping out, collect samples. I think the Escalation to Freedom update, they should have given us the last and final ship upgrades, or at least hinted at it, so that when this major order came around, they could make the upgrade purchasable, giving players the incentive to actually participate and want to help out. The problem is, I do not see a lot of players trying to help, or at least at the time, because some are just maxed out and don't want to bother doing it. But again, I'm not like that. I will help out regardless, because some Helldivers out here who absolutely want to upgrade their ship all the way, and this gives us, who already done so, the opportunity to help those who need it. And I get it. I completely understand why some players are frustrated, because the last two updates were lackluster. Yet I say, give us some time. We'll see how much has been improved in the next 30 days. The next patch is supposed to arrive relatively soon. I recommend checking out the previous video, but do that after you have completely watched this one. With that information being said, this is your Helldivers 2 News. If you guys would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below. The first comment can be found
Bro,
right
it's
here.
3 times the health of the Citisex, man.
Remember guys, our physics were unrealistic and need to be changed. Letting Cactus being able to blow up a mech is ultra realistic. The second comment is by Divergence. Big difference from No Man's Sky to Helldivers. NMS, failure at the start got better with age. Helldivers 2 success at the start got worse with age. Big difference. And last but not least, Deadly Apollo said, turn around, sure, follow these easy steps. Fire Alexis, balance team forced to test all difficulty levels. Community test, checks work. Art and sound development or department, Jesus. Keep doing what you're doing. I guess I can't read or talk anymore. Anyways, thank you guys for the support. If you guys have not done so, subscribe, turn on notifications, subscribe, and comment down below so that you can be featured in the next video.
I felt my childish traveler.
去交流的时候，
Travelers are so cute.
因为我是戴着帽子
Oh my-
戴着口罩的。
Oh my
有一次
god.
我在
One day I happened to meet up with a certain traveler at
的
Jingya.
时候遇到一个旅行者，他在电梯的时候就说你是不是大伟哥？
You were Dwayne?
然后我们说
He said we are the wrong. We said we are the wrong people. Teammate tried hard to convince him, lying and saying it's the wrong person. He's not Dwayne.
然后我们
But he knew Dwayne.
聊了2个多小时，他跟我们分享了他
Said about his girlfriend during Corona period, how they played Genshin together. Wow. Playing Genshin Impact together with your girlfriend during COVID. How romantic.
我听完他们
I'm gonna have to tell you, I like this guy. I do. I like him, man.
有很多这样的故事，包括有的同学
He's great. Yeah.
开始玩原
Certain travelers with a Genshin classmate from the same dormitory forced him to do it during coronavirus. Naturally. They tried to do that to me.
有很多这样的事情，感受到大家
We received a lot of love for Genshin, many opinions about Genshin. Yeah.
大家今天
I asked everyone why they left, and they couldn't come to Taiwan for a long time. That's the new zone, right?
所以我听了他
Listen
们
to everyone's voices one by one.
一个听过去之后，这些旅行者的声音给了我们很大的鼓舞啊。所以回来之后，我跟整
We
个
had many meetings with the Genshin team.
一轮一轮的会开下去，最后我们达成一个共
We
识。
achieved one common understanding. What is it?
对于原神来讲，
Genshin will always be friends with Traveler, and we will walk together. It's the only thing that will not change. Everything else can be changed. What does that mean?
所以今天大家在
The now in the trailer, we saw a lot of changes in us.
不管是
Game content benefits various improvements. Yeah, sure.
还是各种规划，
The devs listened. Yeah, imagine that.
我觉得只要你开心就好。
Travelers gonna have fun playing Genshin. Everything can be changed. Well, yeah, of course.
如果连旅行者都不喜欢原神啊，那我们做的所有事情还有什么意义呢？对吧？所以其实今年上半年
Talking to them first year and a half.
交流了之后，我们自己
We also received a lot of encouragement. Yeah,
我们自己也
I think like Genshin is a game, like from what I've seen it, like the game plays extremely well. Like, and this is a big problem that a lot of games have, is that they don't play well. Like they don't move well. The characters, yeah, Wuthering Waves is better. I think Wuthering Waves is very good, but Wuthering Waves is like there's more freedom of motion, I think, in Wuthering Waves, which makes it better and worse. Because like there's some choppiness with it, and when you add iframes, it can be hard for people to understand that. Like the Wuthering Waves movement is good, it's very good, and I like the combat for it. But Genshin Impact is obviously like a little bit more of a relaxed version of that.
有了可以继续
Visually, I think Wuthering Waves combat looks way better.
所以今天在我们前瞻直播最后的时候，我站在那个角落，看着
All the travelers in a corner of the audience. I wonder if this guy knows who Tectone is.
流眼泪了。我希望
Yeah, I wonder if he knows who Tectone is. 100% he does. I wonder if they have like a name for him. You know, since like, you know, do they call him Tectone or do they call him like Loud Bald or something like that? I wonder. Yeah.
希望从今天开始，原
The
神
White
不
Ogre?
管是我们未来的5.0纳塔版本，
Oh god. Good all travelers as well. Genshin team. Yeah, for sure. This is really nice. Eggman. Voldemort. Things haven't turned out the way the traveler wanted, yeah.
还是我们项目组
I think that, like, for me, one of the reasons why I haven't really wanted to get into Genshin
我们从各位
is that it's like I feel like I'm like really far behind. That's I think the big reason why.
从我离开这个舞台，
Same, yeah, you are exactly.
整个
I hope the Genshin team and all Genshin travelers be able to take the burden off their past names and look forward.
抛下过去的
Yeah, I don't know how they can fix that.
去为旅行者创造最好的体验。
Do you implement a catch-up skip in 5.0? Well, I don't want to skip. Like, I want to go through everything. It's just that going through everything is going to be really hard to do. Yeah, that's great. Never get into Genshin, it will ruin your life. It's too late. Yeah, I mean, this guy really seems like he seems genuine, nice guy. He's likable. I think this strategy,
大家说纳塔键可以吗？
yeah, I think the strategy of like just talking to people and hearing what they have to say is really smart.
旅行者
As the other
们，
games you played, just start at any point. It's never too late to get in. Yeah, I know. Zenless on Zero is better quality of life. I hope Genshin adds it. Yeah.
旅行者们，谢谢大家，我们纳塔见。
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like, and you know what's really crazy about this? Look how many girls there are. Isn't that nuts? Because, like, I mean, if you go and you watch, like, for example, the Wrath of the Lich King expansion announcement at BlizzCon, it's basically like my stream, okay? There's like 3 women there, and 2 of them don't want to be there, and the 3rd one they met in WoW and they got married. Like, that's it. Yeah, it's a girl. It is. There's a lot of girls that play this game, man. There are. It's a suspect. Yeah, 5.0 trailer. No, it's nuts, man. Like, there's a lot of them that are really into it. I know a lot of girls that play Genshin. It's kind of surprising to me. Genshin's for teenage girls. Yeah, I know that. That's why every character in the game, you know. So anyway, it's actually really funny about this. So there's actually been more stuff going on with Genshin. I thought this was kind of funny. Zenless Zone Zero and Honkai Star Rail voice actress gets replaced after appearing to signal boost Genshin Impact boycott. Wow. So take a look at this. I thought this was kind of funny. Genshin voice actor has raging breakdown on Twitter. Isn't that cute? This is her in real life. Just kidding.
Back on Genshin Twitter / Hoyoverse Twitter, where some voice actors all mad and raging at people online. But first, some additional context to all of this. Hopefully you've been keeping up with my videos covering the disastrous Genshin boycott over the last month or so,
Yeah.
where we covered how performative the entire thing's been, and what a failure it's been too. Something that some people on Twitter got extremely mad at me about, trying to insult me and send death threats and all that typical
Naturally.
boring stuff. But it's especially funny, because now most of them are actually admitting that myself and the people who agreed with me have been right the entire time. So as more and more people on Genshin Twitter admit that the boycott failed, now we're seeing some Genshin voice actors attempting to rally the troops, so to speak. It's very disingenuous in my opinion, because if you really look at what some of these voice actors have done, as well as some of the Hoyo content creators too, well, they essentially put in the most...
How did they think this was going to work? This is a video, like, it's so stupid to me. How can you be so fucking stupid that you think that a game which their business model is built around people having a lack of self-control are going to be able to boycott something? The whole business model of the game is people not having self-control. It's insane. It's like going to like Alcoholics Anonymous and being like, yeah, we're gonna make a support group against addiction. Oh yeah, for sure, guys. You go to the Flat Earth Society and you want to talk about making a advocacy group for science. What the fuck are you thinking? Who does this?
minimal amount of effort possible into the boycott. Basically making like a few tweets near the beginning, but still going on to voice for Hoyoverse and make Hoyoverse content. In other words, making the company money and promoting it.
Right.
The very company that they claim to support boycotting against. Meanwhile,
Well, they don't support boycotting it. You have to understand, what they support is making tweets and getting likes for the tweets. That's what they support. They don't really care about this.
expect people on Hoyoverse Twitter
Yeah.
to do all of the actual heavy lifting.
Of
You could
course.
say those specific VAs and content creators use the whole boycott for social media clout.
Absolutely
And treat everyone
they
else
did.
like a tool. It's pretty messed up.
By the way, I want to let you guys know, they absolutely did that. Totally fucking fake. They will go right back to this game. If it was found out that Genshin Impact was sacrificing people, it's like every time that they make a new waifu, they have to kill a person, like Aztec style. They would make a tweet. I'm so upset about this. I think they have to come out right now and apologize. And then the next time a video comes out, I'm like, wow, okay, I'm hyped about patch 5.2. These are the 10 things you need to do to get ready. That's all they are. What the hell do you expect? Just really hot. Yeah.
But thankfully, a lot of Hoyo Twitter is starting to realize this. Anyways, as mentioned, as more and more people are jumping off ship from the boycott, now some of these voice actors are conveniently making a few tweets about it once again, which takes us to the current situation. So we got this tweet from Courtney Lynn, who says, "Oof, jumping back on Twitter to say your voices matter, and I'm so proud of our community for using theirs. Retweet, email, speak up. Our community is strong." To which normal
Our community. Great, good for her.
Behavior says, "So proud of my community. My community is so powerful and brave for getting rid of you. It's wonderful to let all voices be heard, but not yours. What a wonderful community. My community loves my community." And love is love, and community is community, and we love our community. So yeah, it sounds kind of crazy. I think he's memeing around a little bit there, you know, but it does include a screenshot with the highlighted area reading. Change the English voice actors for Agents Lucy and Sukaku and replace the corresponding voice lines. So according to videogames.si, Lynn was voicing those two Hoyoverse characters, and she was then replaced by the company. They don't specify why, but it's important.
Oh, too bad. Uh-oh. So she was the voice actor and then she got replaced for this. Well, there we go. Easy way to lose a job. Yeah, and who the fuck is gonna want to hire her now?
To note that it doesn't look like she willingly stepped down. From the way this is being handled, it looks like Hoyoverse did let her go. They also go on to write how Lynn hasn't said anything about being cut from the Hoyoverse games. And they say that it's unlikely to do with the recent SAG-AFTRA gaming strike, as the dubs are being handled by Sound Cadence Studios and Rocket Sound, both of which are not struck. So it's rather unclear.
I just love how people think that you can badmouth the company that you work at and you do contract work for, and they're gonna be like, okay. You're gonna like actively encourage people to not buy the product whenever you're being paid by the company that's selling the product? What are you, fucking stupid? What? How you be so stupid?
What exactly occurred here? But if she willingly stepped down, it seems likely that she would have also made a statement about doing so. However, once again,
the only thing that here, let me tell you what's going to be on the Zenless Zone Zero Reddit. The fact that the new character with the tail, her thighs jiggle when she walks. Let me guess, that's probably what the whole Reddit's talking about? Yes. Yes.
there's been no such thing. So now going back to the tweets with Courtney Lynn and Normal Degen, we got a response from another voice actor, Valeria Rodriguez. And she's the one who's going all rage mode, as mentioned at the start of this video.
Bro, this is my favorite combination right here. The gay flag. I'm pretty sure that's Palestine. Oh boy. Mexico? Is that Mexico? God, I'm a fucking retarded. Holy shit, I'm retarded. Really? That's Mexico? Jesus Christ. Never mind. Your American showing? Yeah, true.
This response to him that's so exceptional and lame that I'm going to have PTS repeated.
I'm just so used to seeing the Palestine one.
Please bear with the voice. It's only going to go on for a few seconds.
Live in Texas? I know.
You're a freaking loser who is going to die alone. And I would bet $1,000 that you are incredibly depressed and hate yourself. Get therapy or rot alone in your bedroom, but leave nice people out of it. Nerd. Dad.
Nice people. And I'm sure she's supposed to be the nice person. Yeah, she's the nice person.
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Or have the balls to say this shit in person, not behind a profile pic.
Now people are responding to Valeria's freakout. For example, Hard47 saying the NVAs be like, why does nobody like us? And then proceed to say stuff like this.
Yeah, holy shit, modern VAs are so fragile and unprofessional. They also don't sound that great, but that's an entirely different issue. Do you know what this Valerie girl's doing? she's making everybody excited for whenever they're going to turn her voice into AI. Or, you know what? They'll just make a voice that's like an amalgamation of like her and 50,000 other people, and then it'll be better, and they won't have to worry about the tweets like this, and that'll be it. And I don't know what she's going to be able to do. Maybe she'll have to go work at Sonic. You know, like go give people hot dogs. At least AI doesn't complain. Yeah. Why does only English voice actor are changed in Hoyoverse games? Well, I don't know.
Jethro saying, wow, modern VAs are fragile and unprofessional. They also don't sound that great, but that's an entirely different issue. Jekko saying, weird how all the best adverts for replacing English voice actors with AI comes from English voice actors themselves. Normal degen behavior also responding, saying, if I ever fly off on toxic rants like this, you have full permission to get me fired from Mihoyo, and also replace my voice with someone less on him.
Jesus.
Just for anyone who might be confused out there, I don't think he's actually a Mihoyo voice actor. I think he's...
Yeah.
However, please correct me if I'm wrong about that. He'd get a response that they get real defensive when their select group of untouchables finally face the consequences of their actions. The nerve and delusions.
Well, here's the problem is that Genshin Impact is a feels-good, goofy, fun game that's a bullshit escapism game.
Okay! Stop shooting,
They don't
bitch.
want to deal, like, they don't want to have people involved in their community that are actively hostile, aggressive, like, just, and crazy. Like, they don't want to deal with that. Why, like, this isn't in their audience, right? Except a good point. Yeah, and, like, in my opinion, I don't really care about what this girl is saying on Twitter. I think it's so stupid when somebody says something dumb on Twitter and they get fired from their job for it. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people like to celebrate this, but like, I generally like, the only reason I'm happy when it happens is because they would be happy when it would happen to somebody that they don't like. And so it's like, yeah, you get what you fucking deserve. I get that, but it's still not really something I actually support. Yeah, karma. Yeah, exactly. When it's related to your job, it makes sense. This is a really good point. Yeah, no, you guys are bringing up a good point. Where, like, yeah, this isn't really just her talking shit. It's her talking shit about her job, inside the scope of her career. Good point. Yeah, you're right about that.
Crazy. With normal degen responding. I'm just being union with top food, you know, like a joke. For the same people celebrating 4 times harder and sincerely when the dick was blacklisted.
Oh, this is exactly why people do it. It's because these people love to cancel other people, but they get sad whenever that happens to them.
Well, the backlash to Valeria would proliferate more.
Bro, is she getting into it, huh?
Would then go on Twitter again and attempt to clear her followers. As for Courtney, this is all inadvertently making her look better, because despite some of the responses that she was getting to her seemingly performative activism, at least she hasn't gone full rage or full aggro, something that Valeria isn't able to say. The situation actually gets worse though.
Wait, what is she saying?
Aggro.
I'm in the comments. I'm in the comments verbally beating haters. You should join me at my crusade. Courtney is an incredibly kind and caring human being. She doesn't deserve this to harm. So she's like trying to get people to white knight for her or something like that. Oh God. What is V-Nation? It stands for Virgin.
Thanks, Mimic. Holy shit,
Isn't
man.
able to say. The situation actually gets worse though.
People want me fired and are tagging MiHoYo because
I wonder
was
how
talking
people
back
play
at
this game
racist
without
trolls in Courtney's
spells.
comments, saying I'm being mean and shit. If you don't want me to say mean shit back to you, don't say mean shit in the first place. So the truth is that this girl would probably have no problem getting somebody fired for something that they disagree with or they don't like. And this is kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is that I never find it to be a bad thing to do something to somebody that they would do to you. Even if it's bad. I think it's always deserved. Because if you don't want somebody to do that to you, you shouldn't have been doing that to them. Typical Karen. Yeah, exactly. She's actually right about those dumbasses, but she's hopping in at hostile and at work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your limit is always my limit. Yeah, always match people's energy with this kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she got fired or she lost her job over this.
Valeria would make a tweet later on, accusing
That's fighting hate with hate? No? It absolutely is. And you have to make sure that you overpower people and you beat them down.
True.
Absolutely. Never be afraid to take the low road, okay? I've got no problem taking the high road, but if somebody else takes the low road, you have to meet them there. If you don't, you lose.
For critics of just being racist trolls. Obviously, criticizing performative activism doesn't make
They go
anyone
low,
racist.
I go lower.
And as
There
a
you
matter
go.
of fact,
There you go.
similar to what we discussed in the beginning of this video, a lot of the Hoyoverse boycotters have also recently been calling out performative activism, discussing how it didn't help the movement at all.
No, of course
I guess
not.
to Valeria, they would all also be racist too. There's other posts that Valeria's made in her rage-induced tweeting spree. However, I'm gonna wrap this up soon to save us all that brain rot.
Jesus.
The point is, it looks like she's willingly gaslighting her own followers, accusing all of the critics once again of being racists. and trying to
Everybody that doesn't like you is a racist.
Of course.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
rile up her own followers as her own sort of personal army. In closing, here's Normal Degen's final statement on this entire thing. Dear Diary, today I made an English Genshin Impact voice actor mad by memeing around.
Oh
Hundreds of
my
Sims are now
God.
calling middle school baby rage powerful and talking that talk, making the contrast between the two posts
Man.
even more apparent. I'm very proud of this. Can't wait for AI. On a final note regarding
No, this is, and this is what's really funny about this, is that all of these people, like, eventually their job is going to get replaced by AI completely. Because if you're MiHoYo, like if I was that Dewey guy and I saw this, I would be like, guys, yo, fuck this nuclear power shit. Like we gotta get this AI voice thing, like we gotta get this started like real quick. Like this is becoming a problem. The way, yeah, like that's what I'd be doing. It's a fucking cartoon, exactly. Genshin, the game is honestly sucks. You think the game's, I think the game looks good, personally.
Courtney Lynn. As we already went over, the evidence that outlets have posted seemed to indicate that she was let go. But if by any chance she actually
knows?
stepped down from her roles to support the Hoyoverse boycott,
Good for her.
then I'll give her full credit for
Yeah.
not being performative and for really taking action. If that's the case, hopefully she'll make a statement clarifying such. And I'll leave it there. And as always, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this coverage, consider liking and subscribing. Appreciate you. Have a great day. See you in the next one.
It's so fucking funny for me to see this happen, man. I'm assuming that, like, I can't probably look at a lot of these tweets, because if I do, then I'm probably already preemptively blocked by all of these people. Which, to be fair, I'd do the same thing if I were them. So yeah, Genshin, yeah, watch the Ascendant trailer. I'll look at it. I'll look at it, sure. We haven't covered anything for Genshin in a while. You know what the funniest, this is the funniest fucking thing. This actually makes me want, like, the drama for Genshin Impact makes me want to play the game more than the actual gameplay does. I always find it to be so fucking entertaining. I hope Crunchyroll does the same and every other company that does it, that hires these people. Yeah, I mean, and this is the funny thing, right? Is like these people are they're gonna be completely out of a job in a few years. Like, I bet in 10 years, they're gonna have to do something totally different. They're gonna have no skills, and all they're gonna have is a 10-year pattern of being disagreeable and psychotic on social media. OnlyFans? As I said, I don't really make comments on... I try not to make comments on people's personal appearances or sexual comments about people unless they do it to somebody else or they're doing it to me. I really do try to do that. And I want to let you guys know that this is something that I really like doing. Like, again, I always think of the worst thing that you can say, and I've thought of something worse than that in like 3 seconds. Of course, I would say bad things, but I try to be a nice guy. You're fat shaming all the time? Well, being fat's different. I mean, that's just being fat. I mean, that's objective. Just like, that's a hog. You look at a fucking hog, that's a hog. I mean, it's not a secret. That's totally different. Yeah, it's just a fat. Yeah, bro, like, you look at, like, that's it. It's the Michael Scott. If you're in a small rowboat, would the rowboat capsize if she was in it?
What fucker did put the message on our head?
This is a scientific and a physics question, right? It's not about how you feel about somebody. It's just science, okay, guys? It's an astute observation. That's all. Yeah, being fat is evil, clearly. And so, yeah, looks like they're probably getting removed. English voice actors trying not to be insufferable and sabotage their own career, challenge impossible. Well, what these companies probably realize is that these people are, they're making other people not want to play the game. And they're pushing people away from the game because somebody will see something like that and it will.
She's just the best waifu.
So it was thee who would become my lord. Perhaps I needn't have warned thee. I am pleased, however. Thou art a fitting choice. I go now to the night sky. It is there I shall find mine order. I bid thee travel the path of the Lord, and once all is done, we shall see each other once more.
Is that? Oh, it's those. Bro. I can't move.
Will annoy them and they'll be like, you know what, I feel like I don't really want to play this, right? Like, this is weird, right? It's off-putting, at least. And I think it also damages the escapism, where like you have like this cozy, nice game, and then you see the voice actor, and like the voice actor is like this like unhinged fucking psycho. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if these people get replaced and lose their jobs pretty fast. So yeah, that's what they fucking get, man.
Der Pflegewegweiser unterstützt sich finanziell bei der Pflege von deinen Angehörigen daheim.
600'000 Leute in der Schweiz pflegen die nachstehende Person über Jahre kostenlos.
Pflegewegweiser ist eine private Spitex, die dich gerecht entlohnt für die Pflege, die du daheim sowieso schon leisten musst. Durch die Anstellung als pflegender Angehöriger kann der Lohnausfall deutlich reduziert werden.
Du bekommst eine persönliche Ansprechperson, die dich mit Rat und Tat begleitet.
Überprüf doch jetzt deinen Anspruch auf die Entlöhnung von Angehörigen.
These are dangerous times. The world here belongs to the syndicates. It's a big galaxy out there. And I'm gonna risk it.
So even after all of the feedback given, everybody online claiming that they don't want pay-to-win elements like the mobile game and the PC game, and
Right.
after all of the, oh, we're listening to your feedback and we really care about all
Old
PR
Albus?
bullshit aside,
Ah.
they sat down, the lead game designer, and reacted to this clip of mine. It kind of sounds like you're going to be able to buy in-game currency with real money,
Oh,
which I think it's
no.
a dumb strategy to monetize a game. I think you already have the battle passes, you already have the extra warehouse space, the safes, personalized appearances, melee weapons. I think those are all great things to monetize with. Why do we need to be able to buy in-game currency in a game where the economy means everything?
I've actually seen this video. I can understand his and the community's concerns. Yeah, our principle is that money should not affect the fairness of raids. Yeah, but
You sure about that? You sure about that?
but
And still, the game launches on their website, not on Steam, probably to bypass the negative review bomb that is
That's smart.
inevitably coming to this game, because you can buy in-game currency with real money like we suspected.
Can you believe it? It's another Eastern developer that made a game pay to win. How did they keep doing it? I can't believe it.
it's on a discount. Of course it is. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm alive.
You're getting a good deal. They took the mobile monetization and brought it to PC and thought everybody would be happy with it, even though since announcing that the game is coming to PC, every single person has said they don't want monetization like the mobile game in this game. You have to figure out a different economy for this game on PC. And did the developers listen? Fuck no.
Well, they did listen. They heard it. They just said no. I'm sure they seen the feedback. Yeah, they probably were like, yeah, a lot of people don't like this. Yep. All right, well, let's put it in.
They did.
Yeah, they clearly
They're
saw it.
claiming that they don't want one player to get a significant advantage over another.
This is the garbage version
And
of
the crazy
Tarkov.
thing about this
Yeah.
entire situation, I feel like I'm in an episode of a fucking Twilight Zone. There are so many people
Is Pro bugged?
on social media defending the use of microtransactions. Like,
They're dick eaters. What are you surprised? You surprised that there's an army of dick eaters? Like, yeah. Well, it's not a surprise to anybody. What do you mean?
Gamers want to spend money on gear, then they go in and just get one-tapped by me, Gadley McGee, sitting in the bush, and call me and let me do it.
Completely missing the point that you have to work and earn and work towards that gear and those weapons and gold and the armor, all that stuff that you have. This person can enter the raid with the exact same loot as you, and they just paid for it.
Well, if they want to give up their loot.
Yeah, but the point is nothing that you have matters. Because somebody can just swipe a credit card and pay for it. Like,
Here's the problem this guy has. You're never going to convince these people because these are normie gamers that are used to paying $20 for a shot at a club. In their mind, this is normal. Like, they still have cable television. These people are professional dick eaters. That's why game companies have tried so hard to bring them in. That's why they've tried so much to try to get these kinds of people to bring them into the gaming community. He doesn't explain everything because the game is a way to make sure someone with good skills don't go against people with bad skills. Well, that doesn't really matter though, right? I mean, it's very simple. If somebody can buy an advantage in a game, then the game's pay to win. It's that simple. If the game's PvP, it's like 5 times worse.
Do not realize how fucking dumb the argument is that you would be willing to let people purchase gear with real money. I mean, you got to purchase the coin,
That's right.
the in-game coins to then purchase the gear. There's one step there.
Remember, guys, remember, I actually made a chart for this. We'll have to refer back to the chart. Okay. Yes, that's right. In case anybody's forgotten, this is the way it works.
What
This
chart?
is the best one. Yeah, it's totally different, guys. Completely different.
But dude, the mental gymnastics that the online community is going in, and granted, there are a lot of people pushing back. Their Discord was on fire this morning. The Reddit is
yeah, it's on fire. The people are Chinese or Korean. They can't even read it. Like, they're like, what are those white people mad about now? Ah. I can't even read it. I can't fucking read it. They don't even know what happens. Like, you know, some assistant tells them they really don't like the fact that it's pay to win. They're like, yeah, they never like that, but they buy it anyway.
Also,
I guarantee you, that's what they're telling each other in the studio.
An absorbent amount of
100%.
people just defend it. And I don't know if that's like a play for you to try to like rub the feet of the developers, maybe suck the teat a little bit. Maybe they'll give you a special drink. I don't know what it is.
Let me explain why. It's because people have already invested a piece of their personality or their time or their energy into the game. And so because they've already invested into the game, they don't want to put themselves in a position where their investment wasn't worthwhile. So they're not going to admit that the game is bad or that there's something wrong with the game, because that would make them...
How long does this test and death drain my health?
Holy
Holy shit.
And they might have already spent the money. Yeah, well now, are they stupid? I don't know.
Invest real money into the economy like this, where gear, armor, weapon, and just gear in general just means so much. It blows my fucking mind that they thought this was a good idea.
Well, that's the reason why
Bro.
they're doing it. Gear and armor matters so much. That's why they're making it where you can buy it. Because more people will buy it if it matters more.
Don't I have a shield against test and death?
It doesn't matter.
I think I
If you're
have
a
this
mobile gamer, if you're a
Black
true
Sun shield
mobile
is against
gamer,
it.
You are bred to be okay with just insanely terrible monetization models. But on the PC landscape, it's a lot different. Or at least I'm hoping that we can fight back enough to make sure that we are different. And the general argument is like, well, if you pay...
They might claw back a couple of the features, but the truth is that the PC marketplace being different isn't really true that much anymore. Like, look at something like the First Descendant. The First Descendant has obvious pay-to-win features. Now, you can get them by playing the game, but you can get them faster by spending money. The truth is that even PC gamers have become acclimated to pay-to-win. Look at Lost Ark.
money, that doesn't necessarily mean that you win the game. You have to still have the skill. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You pay money, you can get gear quicker than somebody who has to earn it in the game. Who has to go through the trials and tribulations. If you have better armor, better ammo, better weapons, right off rip, compared to little Timmy who just grabbed the credit card that his mom just did a line of blow on to go spend a bunch of money on coins to then just buy the gear that you have. It literally breaks the entire ecosystem. Yes, you can kill one of these players who has a bunch of purchased armor, weapons, and gear.
Well, this is the free-to-play cope. The free-to-play cope is that if I grind 13 hours a day and play this game non-stop like it's my fucking job, I can beat somebody who's a light spender, which makes me better than them. Meanwhile, it's like some stockbroker that drops $1,000 on the game, and then you kill them, and they're like, oops, okay, well, I guess I'll buy another one. And they don't even think about it. Meanwhile, you're investing your entire life and identity into being able to beat these people. They don't even know that. They don't even care. Self-inflicted humiliation, yes.
For yourself. But the advantage comes from two equally skilled players going in, one spending hours to grind up, go through the raids, to earn the gear versus somebody who can come in, swipe the credit card, and they just have the gear already.
Absolutely.
If you don't see how that is pay to win, or if you want to mentally fucking bend over backwards and eat your own asshole and say that it's pay to progress or pay for advantage or whatever the fuck, regardless, it is complete horseshit. And the thing is, like, I made this video like a month ago where I said, like, the game is great, and keep in mind, my opinion hasn't changed on that. The game is fucking awesome. There's so many good things about it. I had a blast playing it today. But the entire time I streamed it, the chat was just up in arms about the pay to win. That's all the focus was on, was this.
But the thing is, this is the problem, is that people clearly don't make decisions based off of if the game is pay to win. Like, the idea that you need to make a game non-pay to win or people won't play it, I think this is not true. People will play pay to win games. So, like, the idea that you can't do that, not anymore. Unfortunately, not anymore. People don't care. Like, you're gonna have chatters that come into Twitch chat, and these are people that are mad because they want to express how mad they are. But the truth is that they're like such a tiny minority that if you're developing a game, why would you make content for them? Zenless Zone Zero made $100 million in 1 month. Yep, that's right.
Games pay to win. How are you enjoying buying currency with real money? Nothing you're doing is mad. It was just a negative cesspool of gamers pissed off at the like, why did you guys ask for feedback at all? Why did you reach out? Why do you have a content creator Discord where literally like a month ago I said in private,
and Zenless Zone Zero is not pay to win? It absolutely is pay to win. It's a mobile game. It's pay to win.
Directly to the developer that this isn't the way to go. We've done sponsored deals where like I'm so conflicted because I'm excited for the game.
Yeah.
I know that there is a game there that a lot of people would like, and if you go with this route, it's just not a game that like I want to hang my hat on, even though I really desperately want to. You might have a bunch of these fucking idiots that just back it and spend the money and do whatever else, but it's not where I want to be. And like another argument,
and this is always what will happen with content creators, is that like video games oftentimes diverge from what a content creator would want the game to be. But the truth is that if the audience is there for a game and people want to watch the game, you will have content creators that will just come up with a reason why it's okay for them to play the game anyway. Because a content creator really is just somebody who's going to make money streaming the game. That's what really matters the most. But why can't a dad who has little time go out and grind, not get the best gear, and enjoy the game if he wants? So like, and this is a problem that a lot of people that are like pay-to-win defenders, like kind of, it's like a mental trap that they fall into. I'm gonna be the bad guy here, but why can't a dad who has little time to play and can't grind out the best gear, enjoy the game if he wants to spend a little bit of money, as long as he doesn't get better gear than you can gear and grind out? So the reason why, like, you're wrong is because nobody decided that, like, who decided that the only way to get gear is to either spend money or grind it out? The fundamental rules of this game are defined by the developer. So this is a dichotomy the developer has created in your mind. It's not something that actually exists. There's no reason why, if a dad who has little time to play, why not make it easier to grind for? Why not make there another way to get it that doesn't have to do with money? Like, why is it that the only two alternatives are you have to grind all day or spend real money? Why is this dichotomy existing? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it's beneficial for the developer. So, like, they trick you into this, like, this binary thinking, but you have to understand that they created the system that makes you think in the binary. And the system is created with the purpose of making you think inside of that binary. Do you understand how that happens? They have created this problem. Yeah, the developer, exactly. They created the problem to sell you the solution. So this dad wouldn't have had this problem in 2001 because the game would have been designed differently. But the game is designed in a way that makes him feel like he has to do this, which is what the problem is.
Like, well, it's a free-to-play game. How do you expect him to make money? There's a million different ways to make money in a game like this. Spending real money on currency isn't one that I think is the best route to go, because it just ruins everything about this game. Like, you're going in to earn gear.
Yeah.
The gear fear is no longer there because you can just swipe at the end of it. Just put in put in the security code, and you're good to go. I got a helmet, got a chest rig. Like, who gives a fuck? None of it matters.
He's right.
For as creator-centric as you guys were going, you could talk to a bunch of creators and have weapon charms where, let's say you guys wanted to buy a Big Fry weapon charm. Let's say it's $3 or $4. Content creator gets a split, developers get the split, and all it is a logo on a weapon fucking key ring that you can put on your weapon. You could have things like weapons.
Yeah, but are people gonna buy an M249, or are they gonna buy a keychain more? I think more people are gonna buy the M429. So guess what? That's what they're gonna sell.
Skins. You could have things like skins for cosmetics.
Both? Yeah, they should be
And as
both.
long as you appease the crowd that hates the Fortnite level skins that we see in shit like Call of Duty, keep them realistic, digital camos, everything else. Dude, you could even have like custom patches where, again, content creators, you could, yeah, it just requires a little bit of creativity to actually figure out a good way.
How did
to
they still not
monetize
manage
the
to get
game.
down there?
Bring in the community. That
Here's the reality. People spend more money when a game is pay to win, because paying to win has a higher value proposition than having a keychain. Obviously. What are we even talking about? That's why they're doing it. Duh.
You say you care so desperately about, but you just didn't. And like I said, man, I'm throwing my hands up. Like, if people want this and like they're defending it, dude, I had a stream today where so many people in my chat were just like mentally bending over backwards to justify why this is a good thing for the game. And it blows my mind that after 11 years of doing content and talking about this kind of shit on YouTube,
I feel bad for this guy, because he's in like stage 2 or 3, and he hasn't accepted the fact that people have resigned themselves to becoming dick eaters. I do. I really feel bad for him, because he doesn't realize that we live in a world of dick eaters. And we have ever since Genshin Impact got popular. I think that was the real breaking point. It was Genshin Impact. And now it's normalized this type of behavior, and every game has it.
we're just at the point where people accept anything. I haven't even talked about the fact that the Gamma container is on a subscription fee every 30 days.
Naturally.
Because that, to me, isn't even as egregious as something like just being able to funnel money into in-game currency. This is where we're at. I don't care if a game is free to play. I don't really care if a game is that good. And the thing is, like, even all of this said, I still want to play it because the game.
And that's why they're doing it, because it doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, adding in pay-to-win features doesn't make people stop playing the game. You think it does, but it doesn't. And that's the issue. And so people talk and they complain and they're in Twitch chat. I can't believe that you would do this. Why would you ever fucking put this in the game? The greedy fucks. I thought you cared about us. And they're tab. Okay, let me tab back into my game. They're playing the game at the same time that they're writing a post about how much they hate the game. It's because gamers have no self-control.
Hello there. Are you the Tarnished?
Is that
Lady
fun?
Lettuce
I really genuinely
Raw about
enjoy it,
Genshin
but
being
holy
pay to
fucking
win?
shit.
Okay.
Do you guys have to do a 180? Because once this game launches on Steam, whenever that's going to be, the review bombing is going to be insane if you don't correct course now. But here's the thing, who am I even talking to? I'm talking to my community, people who don't want to put up with this bullshit. I'm not talking to the
stage
devs, because
5
clearly they
acceptance.
haven't listened to the warning signs that every creator has put in, private, in public, in videos, on Twitter, just anywhere. We have been talking about it and saying that it's a bad idea for months, and you guys don't give a shit. So, yeah, Arena Breakout is incredibly pay to win like we thought it was going to be. I figured with all of the anger and all of the outrage of, like, you know, people talking about the situation and, like, trying to get through to the developers, maybe they'll do something different, and they just didn't. while at the same time using videos like mine as a promotional tool. They sit the game designer
That's
down
right.
and he responds to it and reacts to it in a very like what you consider a genuine way, where he says he doesn't want to break. No, we're not, guys. We're not doing any, no pay to win or nothing. But like the mental gymnastics to say that it's not pay to win, it's just like pay for convenience, blah, 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 fucking blah. It's bullshit. And here's the thing, Delta Force, which is another game that is just hot on YouTube and another game that I've been really enjoying playing, they're now coming out and saying that they're not going to be pay to win, and they're focused on making sure microtransactions
That sucks, man. Bro, this dude is down bad. I feel this sucks. I feel bad for this guy. I disagree with the pay-to-win features, but I can still play the game and not spend money on it. Just because you can play the game without using pay-to-win features doesn't mean that they don't
Is this
exist.
Igor or
Like,
yeah?
That doesn't matter. It still exists in the game.
are you know, good and balanced, even though Arena Breakout said the same thing. So now we're seeing what's happening with Arena Breakout. We're seeing how much people are pissed off about it, and we're looking at these other games that are coming from the East, China, and they're saying the same things that Arena Breakout's saying.
Of course
so now
they are.
it's kind of like a, well, we're gonna fucking wait and see, but we hope you look over the fence and realize just how people are pissed off and how much they hate this, and maybe
Well, they do look over the fence. They look over the fence and they see the people that are playing the game, and they see that the people that are playing the game don't actually make decisions based off of this. This is like a really important thing that, like, as a streamer, there's a lot of parallels to this, is that in a lot of cases, there's like an outspoken minority of people that are against something.
Was
Like,
Brony
you would
healing?
assume that if you read Reddit or you looked at Twitter, that React content was something that nobody should do because nobody likes it. But the truth is that for most content creators, it's their most popular content. And the reason why is because a lot of the people that watch something and they're outspoken about how much they don't like it, those people are not the majority. They're not the amount of people that are there. And so, like, yeah, it's true, exactly. And so, like, you can see a lot of examples of this where, like, people will tell streamers, oh, well, we'll watch you play anything, and then they don't. Like, you should never listen to what an audience says. You should always listen to what they do. Now, it's important to listen to what they're saying, of course, but it's never more important than the actual thing that's happening.
you'll take some notes and realize that this isn't the way forward if you want to get through in the West.
Yeah.
And I really genuinely hope that if you play Arena Breakout Infinite, do not spend a single fucking dollar.
See, this is the problem that a lot of people don't really seem to understand, is that when you don't participate in pay-to-win features for a game, you still exist inside of the ecosystem that keeps them alive. So when you get killed by somebody who has pay-to-win armor, or they kill you, or, you know, they kill somebody that you know, they still, like, just because you're not a whale doesn't mean that you don't exist in the ocean. And by you existing in the ocean, you create an ecosystem for the whales to exist. So the only way to truly not do this is to not play the game. Playing the game free to play is just like basically saying, I'm gonna have a chastity cage on all the time, and I'm gonna wear it like a badge of honor. The truth is that if you want to protest against this kind of stuff, the only thing that you can actually do is just simply not play the game. That's the only thing that you can do. You can't, Reddit posts don't matter. A Steam negative review is just like, they don't really care about that. Like, yeah, it'll make the game look bad, and maybe some people won't play the game. But the advantage to
Great, I'm fucking fat rolling.
if you don't pay money, you don't get money. Yeah, no, that's it. Gamers like to gamers love to assume that no one will take microtransactions and it's only Asians. The reality is that it's everywhere. People have no self-control and companies know it. This helps them gain exorbitant profits. Honestly, where do I sign up to own 10-cent stock? Yeah, for real. But at the same time, someone will always outspend you. You'll never be number one. Yeah, and if you are, you're only the biggest loser, right? Like being number one in a pay-to-win game is just being the biggest loser.
That game, unless it's for something cosmetic,
Yeah,
and
like,
you
let's be
want to
honest.
support the devs that way. But like paying for currency to buy gear with was something that the old EA CEO came up with back in the Battlefield 3 days. Do you guys remember
They got
how
rid of
we
him, too.
roasted John Riccitiello back in the day for saying that eventually he wants games to be able to offer bullets for money? You could pay per bullet in your magazine. Every time you reload, it costs you money. Guys, we're almost there because now you can buy in-game currency to buy ammo off of the flea market auction house within this game.
That's right.
We're almost there. Give it like 4 years. And that's just, it's just...
He's right.
It's so frustrating. You can mentally gymnastic your way into the comments and tell me 100 reasons why this is a good thing. I had somebody send me a 20 fucking paragraph email today once I banned him from my chat, where he basically said that, well, real life is pay to win. You know, guys in the West they like this idea of fair, but this isn't something that, you know, happens worldwide. Other countries really are more okay. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Some dickhead in Nebraska can buy a Lamborghini on his 18th birthday because his dad owns a fucking investment portfolio worth multi-millions. I don't care. Yes, real life is pay to win. Yes, that is how it works. That doesn't mean we need to accept it in entertainment. Anyways,
well, I feel so bad for this guy. I really do. This is so sad. Because I feel the exact same way. It's just that I've accepted that I am just simply not the majority. It's the same way with gambling, right? What he says is true. Yeah, the dude just wants to play good games. I know. He just wants to play good games. He just doesn't want to have a game be pay to win. And I get that. I feel the same way. Yeah, first time, eh? Yeah, exactly. Like, this is, yeah, he's probably a young guy, and he hasn't gone through this with, like, his favorite game, you know, or his favorite 3 games or something like that. But, yeah, gamblers are the retarded majority. They are. And the reality is that the reason why people play video games is to avoid real life. They play the games because they know that real life is pay to win. Why do you think they're in the game? That's the whole point.
Know your guys' thoughts down below. I actually really fuck with the game itself, but this is just such a huge point of contention for me. They said they weren't going to do anything that would give players an advantage, and they did anyway. So either they don't understand our language.
There's a false equivalency that game developers have kind of created, which is if you can buy something that somebody else can earn, that it's not pay to win because you don't have an advantage. It's just that you can get it faster than somebody else. And so that has allowed people to like mentally gymnastic themselves into the idea that it's okay to do.
Language, or they don't give a fuck. Let me know what you think down below. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content just like this. I love Arena Breakout Infinite. I can't fucking stand what they just did today. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching.
Yep.
And I'll see you on the next one.
It's sad, man. I really feel bad for this guy. I'm gonna link the video. I think that he's right about everything. You know, he really is. He's right about everything, and it doesn't matter, and I don't think the developers care. The problem's right there. He likes the game despite the major flaws. Yep, there you go. And the naked, yeah, I mean, it's just Deadlock. You said to remember you? Yeah, I'll talk about the Deadlock stuff. But let me see here. You pay to win to send messages in world chat? Well, I'm not surprised. 2020s, we're in the gaming era where you can bypass the core gameplay loop with your wallet because nobody wants to actually play games anymore. They heard your concerns, they just don't give a fuck. Real life is pay to win is a real reason to justify this. Yeah, video games have a break from how fucking depressing reality can be. Better off just charging $50 to $60 to buy the game and call it a day. Oh my god, where are these people coming from?
If they charge $50 to $60, they're just gonna have a battle pass that's pay to win instead.
Holy
like,
shit.
It's just, it doesn't matter. I guess we all kind of knew it was going to come to this. Yeah. You can purchase chat, communication tokens. Wait, what? You have to pay money to communicate in general chat? Oh, man. This is so nice. Wow. What a good game. That's a bad game? Yeah. And the best way that I can tell you guys, if you want to, if you want to fight against this, I guess you can say, the only way you can fight against it is if you don't play the game. If you play the game, you are inside of the ecosystem that gives the people that are paying to win a advantage. That's it. That's all you can do. You can just do not play the game. And anything less than that, you are helping the developer when you are playing the game free to play, because you are plankton in an ocean of whales, and they will eat you.
Are you
And
shitting
chat
me?
cuts down on spam and harassment. Exactly, it does. Of course it does. The game's just seeing how many devs can nickel and dime you before they can become so broke they can't afford to play anymore. Yeah, I'm just telling you guys, like, this is the way it is. Pay to win has destroyed a lot of potential for a lot of games. This is just the norm. So yeah, it's really sad to see it happen. It's just a 10-minute rant. It absolutely is. And it's sad because, like, this kid, like, or guy, I don't know how old he is. He sounds kind of younger. Man. I was there. I really was. And this video came out 12 years ago. Did you
Have
also
some
do a
kind
big
of
rant
insect
about the WoW
top of
token?
my-
I did. I complained about it every step of the way. Every single step of the way, I complained about it and I got mad about it. And nobody ever cared. That's it. Nobody gave a shit. And people made it to where it was like, okay, they said, oh no, you're just wrong, you're just being a loser, etc. And that's what happened. So yeah, you get what you fucking deserve.
Oh, not one of those. I hate these fucking worms. I dodged it. Unbelievable. It's not a bridge. To what did he die? Makes sense. In Dark Souls at least they had circles on the ground that reduced fall damage, but here it's just like totally random. I don't like stuff that doesn't make sense. I really don't. What is this? Destined Death? No. I don't know what this is. Nah. Another dragon? Oof. Oh, Grace, okay. Like a one-time use? Consumable, yeah. Race. Egon's cookbook. Fuck you, Torrent. Fuck you. I made it. Communion with Bale? Oh!
Warrior true, picture yourself feasting upon a dragon's essence, on the throbbing heart of the oldest, vilest dragon of them all. It would be the purest form of communion, the fullest sating of your hunger, and yes, as it should be. Now, seek the jagged peak. There you will find Bale, the oldest and vilest of all dragons, landbound warrior. Follow your desire and slay the foul beast, devour its throbbing heart. I will grant you the strength required. In the name of my lord, Placidusax.
Oh, sorry, I killed him.
Warrior true. In a time long past, the foul traitor assailed our master and inflicted a becoming a sworn enemy of the group. Since that day, Bale and his bloodline, the Drakes, have served as sacrifices for Dragon Communion, land-bound warrior. My Zeek communion, feel. In a time the foul becoming a swarm, since that day, land-bound, Zeek, feel.
So she's not giving me a new one. Okay. Was just wondering.
Warrior.
Ah.
Very well. If you and seek to slay an Aish in the name of...
Yeah, give me. Try hold. Hippo Mariner. Woo! Are you kidding me? He summoned this fucking... Bro. Cool. Hmm. Oh, I see. Now I'm here again. Interesting. Maybe there's a boss at night. The lake looks like it. Are there no Knights Cavalry in the deals? Nothing. Boss. I'm so confused. Is this where I came from? Yes. Torrent, please. Brain pan, okay. Oops. Bro! I have to piss. Oh. I need to hit him once. Once. Yep. That sounds about right. 24,000 damage, bitch. $24,000 damage. Because I'm a holy man. Where do I go? The level design is super weird, man. So confusing. Is there no grace at all? I almost fell down. Do I wanna fuck around and find out? Bye. Fucking torrent, man. Okay, let's go up there. I have the sacrificial twig, so how can you shoot upwards like this? Did this just save my life? Holy shit. Are you shitting me? He can jump attack? I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm going to do it. But I need some more preparation. Wait, actually... I should level up. I should level up, man.
Schütz dich mit NordVPN und sichere direkt gratis Twint-Gutschein. Erstell einfach ein...
Not being hired for being white? What is this?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
And most companies have DEI scores, and most companies have all these different requirements, and they're openly allowed to discriminate against especially heterosexual white men.
I know one or two things about that.
Yeah, there was a thing that Elon tweeted, I think today or yesterday, in response to one of these things at Disney, where one of the guys at Disney like openly said, I would never hire a straight white man. Like, what?
I have that on tape. You know, I have a
Yeah.
lawsuit.
Well, that's why I'm bringing
Yeah,
this up.
yeah. I mean,
so
who's
you and I
he
talked about it in
suing?
the green room. And tell your story. Like, tell what happened.
What was going on?
How this all this shit
yeah,
fest.
yeah. It's quite a long story. I mean, when I started comedy I've been doing it 20 years. So I've been on TV shows, guest stars, co-stars. You never really heard, there's too many white guys, or
Hey, Rhino.
getting a little too white. And then I remember, like,
Hip-hop.
at comedy clubs, you just start to hear people say, there's too many white guys, too many fucking white guys. And then it became quite popular to just start to say, there's too many of you guys. So what do? Gotta get rid of them. The first time it happened to me, I was invited to do a podcast.
Oh, that's a grab.
To come on and tell a story of being raised by gay men. She goes, I think this would be good to bridge our two families, so people can hear it from a straight guy's point of view of what it's like to kind of grow up around, I grew up in gay bars and piano bars and drag.
I don't think it's such biased bullshit. I don't think it is. I think it's 100% true. Of course this is happening because white people did it with black people back in the day. They still probably try to do it with black people whenever they can. They probably do it to Mexicans as well. They do it to Asians. They probably do it to Indians. Indians probably do it to black people. Black people probably do it to Asians. Like, everybody is going to do this. But like, it's really not. Is it really crazy to imagine that people are racist? But is it really a shock? Yeah, like it's annoying. Yeah, there it is. So what's your point? The point is that what he's saying is probably true, and it's probably happening. Because
Of course it's happening.
I've seen this stuff happen. I've seen people say stuff like this, for sure. I think we all have, especially on social media. So to imagine this has never happened in real life, actually, it's only a joke, that's crazy. Everyone after Asians? Well, I mean, everybody is gonna, like, what I'm saying is that people are bigoted in different ways, right? There's no, like, one group that's, like, I'm not trying to say one group is getting worse than other. I'm just saying that that's what happens.
Ag shows, and I'm kind of the long-term study for what it does to you. I tried in college, actually. I was going home to visit my family. I tried kissing a guy just because I felt like I needed to fit in. This shit really. Oh, he's like, get the fuck away from me. And just going like, fuck, maybe I'm gay. My dad's gay. I got a gay brother. My dad's brother is gay. I think my grandfather. It's shit's genetic.
Yeah,
it's
for
genetic.
Sure.
And I lean in and go, get the fuck away.
I never thought that I was gay, but I told my mom that I did because I looked at porn and she caught me. And then I told her that the only reason I looked at it was because everybody was bullying me in school, calling me gay. And it turned her from being mad at me to feeling sorry for me. But no, I never thought I was gay.
Great for me, because I just wanted to fit in. I wanted something to talk about.
It's not, but like you gotta remember, like most people don't know all the context of this, right? Especially growing up, right?
Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
I wanted to be the gay,
Yeah.
It's so
peer pressure.
Peer pressure. This girl invited me on to talk about this. And
the thing is that like some of my best moments like that come from absolute desperation. Because you are trying to fucking hold on no matter what. I gotta figure out something that's gonna work here.
It's a friend. She texts me.
Yeah, it's a Hail Mary,
goes,
yeah.
I think this was after the George Floyd thing, maybe. And she goes, I can't have a straight white guy on anymore. And I remember just going like, what the fuck? You can't have me on just because my skin color?
What changed?
It was during the BLM stuff. That stuff really ramped up. It became kind of, I think, celebratory to go, fuck white people, fucking white women, white, you know.
I think that's true, and I think that did happen. If I go back and I think about what it was like during like 2020, yeah, that 100% was true. It totally dialed up. Like, I think that at that point it dialed up like anti-white racism, which I think now has dialed up anti-other groups racism. Like, I see more racism against black people now in the last 1 year than I have seen in the last 5 years previous to that.
Right. I think it became normalized.
Yeah.
Any amount of too much. And so that happened, and then it happened in another podcast. And then I had an acting agent. Whenever I would do stand, I used to host the show Hatsu. And all the agents would come, and every couple months, someone would go, why aren't you on SNL? We got to get you in Hollywood. And I'd go, well, sure, well, sign me. You need auditions. Yeah. And so this guy saw him, and he brought me in. The biggest agency at the time, Abrams it was called. And
yeah, this is what happens. Somebody says it's pattern recognition.
What do I do now?
Any type of pattern recognition that you have with people, of course humans are wired to have pattern recognition, but let's assume that that person is right and that pattern recognition is a good thing and it justifies racism. I think that you can use that same line of argumentation to have other types of ways to oppress men as well. Because there is a massive difference in violence, like way more than any racial difference by like a number of fucking degrees of like between men and women. Like men commit how many of the fucking like brutal murders? Men commit how many of these like things? It's like a 10x, right? So like unless you're okay with women thinking that all men are trash and then men being treated as if they are preemptively guilty because they're part of a group, then I don't want to hear about how pattern recognition is a good thing. Because pattern recognition is fundamentally dehumanizing. So is stereotyping. You're taking a person, you're removing their personhood, and you're considering them now just a part of a group. Literally dehumanizing. It's a bad idea. Everybody is different.
And I'm waiting around going, what's going on? No auditions? Is SNL coming to check me out? And he emails and he goes, it's too tough out there for white guys. He kind of was like, we're done here. The next day, fires me, removes me. Right? Well,
that's crazy.
Soon after, removed me from the roster. I got an email.
And I think what we're seeing now, and like you see, like how many of you guys, you're seeing way more open racism by white people against other groups of people. Because like I would say this is like, I would say it 5x'd or 10x'd in like the last year or 2 years. And I think it's going to keep getting worse. It's always been that way? Yeah, but now people are speaking up about it. It radicalized everybody? Yeah, because I think this stuff radicalized white people for sure. And like, it's definitely like a vicious cycle where like, you know, obviously things pre-civil rights radicalize minorities, and then they're trying to do this, which radicalizes white people, which then radicalizes minorities more, and then like, you know, it goes back and forth, right? It is a vicious cycle.
Some more time went by, and then another manager scouted me, brought me in. It's called AGI Entertainment, I think. And he goes, dude, you're a killer. He goes, you got an acting resume? He goes, we're going to get you on Curb Your Enthusiasm, you know. And I was like, okay, maybe this is finally somebody who's got the balls to fight this shit. Months go by, he calls me, and he goes, we hit a snag. He said, we can't have any more white guys, or we're not hiring white guys. We're not representing white guys. And I just was like, what the fuck is going on? How could you say that?
Oh,
and I go, is the company policy? And he goes, yeah. So halfway through the conversation, I take my phone out. Because this happened so many times. I was losing my fucking mind. My therapist goes, dude, you got to start recording this.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's the thing is like, I hear something like this, right? I'm the kind of guy, you know, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Citation needed. Let's see where the evidence for this is.
To record this stuff because it was happening every month. I got a commercial campaign.
Somebody says this is how minorities have felt for a long time. It sucks. I mean, I feel like if somebody gets called back and they get told explicitly that we're not hiring you because you're a minority, I think that they would, like, everybody would agree that that's a bad thing and nobody would support it. Yeah, then you should sue them. Like, if that happens to you, or you think that it's happening to you, then you should sue them because it's illegal and it's bad.
They go, you've been replaced with a black woman. He goes, you're the guy for the job.
Yeah.
It was like a hosting thing where you got to do impressions. I was perfect for it. They replaced me. So I started, you know, being prepared. And I recorded it. And I got it on tape. And I just...
What did you get on tape? What did he say?
I got him literally saying, we will not represent white men, and it's company policy. He said it in plain... It couldn't be any more clear.
Wow.
He said, we cannot work with you just because your skin color.
Then play it. He's not going to play it now. If you're playing Magic the Gathering, do you want to show somebody else your cards before you play them, even if you know you're going to win? No, you don't, because you don't know what's going to happen. So, no, like, that's... Yeah, this is evidence. He has a court case with him. He's not going to play it in a fucking podcast. Why would he do that?
And where were you when you recorded this? Were you in New York?
Yeah, I was in New York, so you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Do you have to tell them?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I was sitting at my... I did like a little... Because I couldn't work because of the vaccine stuff, so I was just locked in my room for 2 years making Instagram videos.
That's a lot of damage.
I went from 0 to over 1 million followers just from... I was doing Fauci every day, doing cameos, going on the radio as Fauci.
Wow.
And it was just bizarre. But it fucked me up because... It's so confusing to have someone go, you are the man for the job. I had a great resume. I mean, I was being considered for big Hollywood roles. Yeah. I was brought in for Sneaky Pete, Giovanni Ribisi. I was up for that role. And making my own films. Yeah, it fucked me up. I got really depressed. I lost my mind.
And so when you recorded this on tape, what happened after you recorded it on tape?
After that, I was too afraid because when I would tell people about that...
Well, now it's Cope. He's an anti-vax retard. Well, let's say he is an anti-vax retard. Then why wouldn't they just say that? Because wouldn't that just be a better idea, right? Because, like, that's legal. Like, why would they say that? If that's the real reason, then why wouldn't they tell him that? So it's like your logic is that they're actually firing him for a reason that's not bad. So because of that, they don't want to tell him the not bad reason. So instead they tell a reason that's illegal. I don't see the thinking here. I'm not seeing any thinking.
Yeah.
They would go, well, whatever. White guys have had it good. Yeah, I'm going.
That's a
just
talisman?
fucking got here.
But isn't that one of the things that someone said to you? Like, white guys have had a good run?
Oh, people say it to me all the time.
But wasn't that one of the things that one of the agents had said to you?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if an agent said that, but
you were telling me this.
I think this is something that a lot of people do who feel like they're in a position that is non-advantageous, right? They feel like they're in a victim position. I think that women do this to men, and I think also men do this to women whenever bad things happen to women that are related to, like, you know, the sexual marketplace, basically. So, like, if something bad happens to a girl, they say, oh, well, you know, men have had to deal with rejection or this stuff all the time, and so, like, now it's good that it's happening to you. And like, same with, like, you know, poor people being happy whenever something bad happens to rich people. It's very, very common. And if you look at it through every vector, it's pretty much the same every single time. Yeah, it's cultural revenge, right? And, like, it's bad every single time, by the way. It's 100% bad. It's completely unjustifiable. It's just vengeful and negative, right? But it does happen in every vector, excuse me. And race is only one of them. It's called punching up. Yeah, exactly.
Someone said it to you.
Comedy. Yeah,
my perspective, if you're punching
clubs,
somebody, you're wrong.
Not necessarily clubs, but like
unless
the
they hit you
independent film
first
shows, there would be no.
Then
There
it's
would
fine.
be like no white people allowed shows.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was at a club and I did a spot. Guy goes, "You going on the next show?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I didn't know you were in the LGBT plus 2RQR community." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's only no straight people allowed." And I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck is going on?" And so I after that I waited a while, I talked to my therapist. I just didn't know what to do because I didn't want
It's crazy.
that to
It is crazy. It's weird.
A
Yeah.
force of its own. I wanted to have
Yeah,
my
it's really
talent
bad.
lead the way, which it had always been doing. And it's tough to have people call you say you're just being.
Somebody says we're going backwards in society. I think that you're right. I think what's happening right now is that I think this especially got it got multiplied during COVID. Is that you have these weird fucks that nobody likes that have taken over positions of decision making and are using their weird fuck logic and their weird fuck values, and they're making society worse. Whenever I hear the people talk about, like the people that he's referring to, like the racist people, right? Whether it's like some racist white person or like a black person or anything like that. Like if you look at pictures of them on Twitter, they look like disgusting freaks. They do. There's always like weird stuff they have on their face. They have all kinds of tattoos everywhere. It looks like they don't shower. They look worse than I do. And every single fucking time, they look like freaks. And so whenever I see this, I see these people and I think to myself, and I'm like, oh my God, the inmates have taken over the asylum.
Yeah, it is.
That's what's really happening.
It is really
you
sad,
have these
man.
people that are absolute fucking weirdos. These are people that should be in a mental institution, but the society has convinced themselves that this person's mental delusions are actually virtues. And that's how we've gotten where we are. Dude, of course, units are, yeah. So you're a high bar or a low bar to compare? I mean, I look like an animal, right? I mean, let's be honest. So, yeah.
A victim or whatever. And it's like, yeah, sometimes you're a victim.
Dehumanizing? Oh, am I dehumanizing them? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, pretty much. I think they're shitty people.
Yep.
I think they're shitty, obnoxious people, and I don't think they should be in any position of power, and half of them should be locked up in a mental institution. That's what I think. Yeah, no, that's my opinion. Absolutely. They're ruining society for everybody.
Yep.
Making it worse for literally everyone.
And you have to fight it to heal from it and move on from it. And so I thought, if I don't fight this, I'm going to kill myself. Because it was it's so humiliating to have someone go, your skin color is it's just not the time for it. And so I just thought, I'm going to go for it. And I just put it on Instagram. I said, hey, I just got turned down for being white. Any attorneys out there? And one guy reached out, goes, I'm a discrimination attorney. He goes, this is one of the most clear acts of discrimination I've ever seen. He said it's so clear cut. And
well, let's
so
see what happened.
Years ago.
Yeah,
so
I want to. Yeah, okay, it took 2 years. Now
These
what?
Things take a long time. But
And so, what are you're suing for discrimination? Is that what you're suing for? Like,
yeah.
This is not common behavior. These people are in the dozens. So you're right. These people are an extreme minority. But what I think that extreme minority does is because that extreme minority of people is not being held accountable by the rest of the culture.
Yep.
That extreme minority causes other people to become extreme, reactively.
It's socially
right?
accepted
so it's
racism,
like now this person
and
who's a
nobody's
very
doing
bad
anything
actor
against it.
is given no accountability for their bad actions. Well, now I'm extreme too, because hey, if the world's a circus, I might as well be a clown. So that's what happens, and that's why it's important to be fair, right? Is if you're not fair with people, then everything falls apart. Well, now let's be real. This is a minuscule problem. I think that if it was happening to you, or I guarantee you that there are things that other people would consider being a minuscule problem. And in a lot of ways, it is. You're right. There are things like homelessness that are a much bigger issue. Things like, for example, like sending millions of dollars to Israel. I think that's a really, really big issue. Like wasting money on a lot of things. Very, very big issue. Like lobbying in Congress. Very big issue. So everybody wants to say that it's minuscule, which is like, yeah, that can be true. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth being fair about it. It doesn't mean that it's not. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about it. It doesn't matter.
Really?
Really? It's a minuscule problem. We start chatter. Well, like I'm saying, like you could. That doesn't matter. Like what they're gonna think. You only have a single person experiencing this. Are you saying like nobody else has experienced this before? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably it. Not sure how I feel about others being accountable to hold extremists accountable. It makes me think of the douchebag toxic gamers, whereas I'm just trying to have fun. So this is what the difference is. It's that whenever a person, like, and we saw this on Twitch, for example, there was like that one guy who was calling to kill Destiny. There was like that girl that was talking about putting a bounty on like Mark Kern's head, and like people were telling me it was about me. Like, let's be real, right? Those people, if they were doing it to a liberal person and they were conservative, I'm gonna be honest, I think there's a 99% chance that they would be off the fucking platform. That's what I'm talking about, right? You know, like Frogan saying cracker take. Imagine if I said the opposite. I'd be gone. And so that's an example, right? That's a direct example. And so it's not about us holding them accountable. We can't hold anybody accountable. It's the fact that the rules are not being applied evenly. That's what's wrong. All I think most people want is for the rules to just be applied evenly. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah, Twitch employees want out. Yeah, I don't know about that, right? But that's the way that I feel about it. Equal application of the law and rules. Yes, exactly. And if you have rules for some people and not other people, they're not rules, they're weapons. That's the way it works. It's just how it is.
Yeah, every word is protected under this.
Do not conflate them as equal words. Would you like to... Do you want to engage in a thought exercise? Do you want to do that? We can do that if you choose to do that. Sure. How do you think that Twitch would respond if I said something about how black people were monkeys? What do you think they would do? Pretty simple, right? It's not the same circumstance, correct? Explain the difference. Bro, it's completely different from calling somebody a cracker. I don't really think so. I think that, like, fundamentally, whenever you're using a word in order to be a racial slur, like, so there's a lot of words that are not really racial slurs, but they can be used as racial slurs. So, like, for example, seeing monkeys at a zoo isn't a racial slur, but if you're using it against a minority group, it is. Eating crackers at a restaurant isn't a racial slur, but if you're talking about white people, it is. It's very simple. Like, it's common to like, but I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is obviously. You can't move the goalpost. The words simply aren't of the same severity due to their history of use. So you think that somebody should be allowed to say racial slurs and make negative racial comments about any group of people? Do you think that there is a singular group of people that it should be acceptable to say racial slurs to? I'm not saying one is okay, but they hold different levels of severity. I think that it's obvious that the N-word has a different level of severity because we're calling it the N-word, right? Whereas we're using the other words. What would the severity matter? So, like, but you agree that they're all bad. I'm not saying one's okay. So you're saying it's bad, right? And I'm not saying the N-word. I didn't say that. It's the intention behind it is racist, right? So, like, for example, if I come up with a way to be racist that's not historical, would it be okay? I don't live in definites. Every scenario should be handled differently. E.g., if you're a member of said minority, you have more leeway. Well, see, this is a problem, and that's all I'm saying. Well, what I'm saying is that I think that's racism. I think when you give somebody the ability to, just a second, it would be more okay than the N-word. Let me untime you out. Yeah, so that to me is racism. So whenever you give a person more freedom, or when you give a person, like, more leeway, whenever a person enjoys more rights or more privileges because of their race, that's racism. And that's more or less. So if you give somebody something or you take it away, you are behaving as a racist. That is racist. That's the way that's the definition of the word. It's just and it is systematic racism too. No, it's because N-word is an automatic timeout. We didn't mean the timeout. It's an automod. So yeah, I think the idea that if you have a what do you call it? If you say something that's bad, but you're a minority, it's more okay. That's unironic systematic racism. It's not even a question. And that's the reason why a lot of people are angry. I think that's why you're seeing so much more racism now. That's why you go on Twitter and there's so much racism, because any normal, reasonable person can hear that and think, what the fuck? You're doing the same thing. You're doing the exact same thing. This is obviously a very bad thing. And like, this is being put out as if it's okay. And of course, that's why people are furious. And I think they're right to be furious. I think it's ridiculous. I disagree as well. Historical context is being ignored. What would the historical context have to do with it? I'm confused. So you're saying that you can only be racist, that like racism is okay if you're doing it to people and it's not historical? That's crazy. You know that's not true. That's obviously not true. You try to compare them, it's not. Of course. But I compared the nature of the word. Like, fair enough, there's a slight difference in that regard. To get your perspective is, and no, I said part of the minority, not that minorities can be racist anyway. That makes it even worse. That makes it even worse. Listen, here's the thing. It's very simple. Whenever one person enjoys a privilege because of their race, it's racism. Whenever somebody does not enjoy a privilege because of their race, it's also racism. This is categorical. It's the definition of it. There's no fine print here. You can talk about it being on a shade of gray, but none of those shades of gray are good. And they should all be treated the same. I'm sorry, but if you say racial slurs about somebody on the website, and it says on the website that it's against the rules, then you should get banned. It's that simple. And if you're using it in a way that's racist, like, for example, there are a lot of terms that people use for black people to mask racism, like dog whistles, right? Young scholar, jogger, things like that. I go on 4chan, I know what the words are. If I'm using those words or somebody else is using those words, I want to see them banned on Twitch, because that's what's against the rules. And if you don't have the rules, then everything is chaos. What's that thing about people know enough about being offended by racism, all minorities or not? That's crazy racism. That's insane. No, I'm not even gonna read that all the way. That's nuts. And so yeah, what the fuck is jogger? A guy getting shot in his own neighborhood a few years ago? I'm just saying, like, but I don't know like really where it came from exactly. I think that might have been it. But the point is that this is it's definitional, right? Saying cracker is punching up while saying anti-black slurs is punching down, that's the difference. Well, I don't know, but last time I checked, assault is still against the law, depending on if you're punching up or down. So, like, it's not that punching down or punching up is any better than each other. I think the only people that think that punching up is okay are the people that are punching up. And I think that if other people punched up at them, they'd be looking for an excuse about why it's not okay. You're still getting punched. What a dumb philosophy. Do you remember what I said about how most people's worldview is completely self-referential? And they actually don't have any real values other than values that already just basically enable their current beliefs? This is another example of that. What a surprise that you, in this position of being down, it's always okay to for you to punch up, but somehow the people that are below you, it's still not okay for them to punch you, right? So people craft this worldview that has no principles, no North Star, no actual value or ethics to it, and they're just looking to backwards reverse engineer a worldview that enables their own bad behavior. And I think that's a great example of it. Punching up is a great example. Do you think that me making fun of rich people is as bad as making fun of poor people for a poor person for being poor? Of course not. Yeah, it is. It is just as bad. Of course it is, because the action is the same. The intent is the same. I don't like this idea that a bad actor is okay because they're doing it towards somebody who's bad. They're still a bad actor. And also, what gives you the right to do that? What happens if they do that to you? It's a ridiculous idea. And again, if this if people, it's the same as like, oh, I can steal from this this company because it's a big company, right? Like, how many of you guys have heard like this argumentation, like, oh, well, I can steal from Walmart because Walmart's a really big company, or like I can steal from CVS. Why is CVS complaining, you know, about people stealing? Just let them steal, right? Well, I guarantee you that if somebody was stealing from them that had less money than them, then they would be calling the police and crying and complaining about it. It's, again, completely self-referential logic. There's no principle to this at all. It's totally indulgent, just completely immoral, bad behavior that is totally created to make themselves feel better and to justify their own bad behavior. Self-centered, yes. Self-centered, narcissistic behavior.
Civil rights laws. There's no...
Isn't that crazy, though? They would think they're so encaptured by this fucking mind virus that they would think it's okay to be racist to white people.
Not only okay, but...
Well, you just heard a few of them in chat, right? You dumb bastard, we punch up because we're morally justified and you can't tell us off? Well, I just did, right? I said that you're a stupid moron, and if you do that to me, I'm absolutely going to punch down at you, and I'm going to enjoy it. I will. And I'm not sorry. So you can do it all you want and think that you have a moral justification, but if you do it to me, like, I've done this to many people before, haven't I? Where somebody has said something mean to me, and then I put them on blast on a YouTube video, and then they started crying about harassment. Well, you get what you fucking deserve. Too bad. Don't punch up. If you don't want to be punched back, don't punch up. What justification? Yeah, that's the way it is. So yeah, no, you can justify your behavior however you want. That's fine, but I'm just telling you what's going to happen if you do that. Fuck around and find out.
Like celebratory.
Yeah.
You know?
Wild.
Yeah, and I don't let people fucking do that to me. People think I'm just this nice little... I'm a fucking animal. When you grow up in a crazy environment and you survive it, man, it's like, fucking come at me. And I just said, it's a hill I'll die on. I don't care. I was like, this is war. We are in a full-blown culture war. And I would give up everything for it. Because I also owe it to, you know, people that can't fight for themselves. I had this 10-year period where this shit wasn't going on. I built up my acting chops, my comedy chops, with nobody saying, you can't do that, you can't say that. And so I had this kind of, you know, this energy. I go, I have to, no one's gonna do it for you, you know? I saw Jordan Peterson, you know, fight for that Bill C-16 thing.
Yeah.
And I go, holy shit.
It's like 10 years ago.
It's worth watching the congressional hearing in Canada, where he's explaining you can't compel speech. You can't tell somebody you have to say my pronouns or you go to jail. He's like, this is gonna get out of fucking control. Everything he said came true.
Yeah. I had him on at the beginning of that stuff. And I remember people saying to me, like,
what
why
year
do you
was
care
that?
about what happens?
That was a
these
really long time
obscure
ago.
Moments that happen in these universities.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Brett Weinstein on after the Evergreen College thing, same kind of thing.
2016? Yeah, it was almost 10 years ago. That's what I thought.
I was saying, like, do you know these people are going to graduate? Do you understand what this is the future?
Yeah.
Like, these attitudes that are these kids are being indoctrinated into, these mindsets, they are going to expand, and they're going to be involved in the workplace, and they're going to be involved in politics and culture. But this mind virus is going to go everywhere, and you got to say what it is. You got to call it out when you see it. That this is kind of crazy, and obviously,
I think that there's a lot of examples of like what he's really talking about. Like, I think a better way to explain it is like a mining canary problem. Is that if this can happen here, it can also happen in other places, and so you want to make sure that it doesn't happen at all. Because, like, a lot of people make appeals to triviality, like, oh, well, why do you care about this? It doesn't really matter. Well, if it doesn't really matter, then why are you trying to push it? The only time that the only time that people try to make you feel stupid for caring about something is whenever they are in a position of authority. It's whenever they are in a position of power. That's what happens.
all these years later. I mean, this was like 2016, I guess.
Yeah.
So here we are, you know.
Well, he's part of the reason.
So it's like, yeah, like it doesn't matter to you because you're getting what you want. Of course it doesn't matter, right?
I pursued this, Jordan, because he's like, you have to tell the truth. That's it. Tell the truth. Or tell the truth, or at least don't lie. You know, it's like, well, it's like you can't bloody compel my speech, you know?
That's pretty good.
Clean your damn room, you know? It's like finger a cat. Rescue your father from the bell. It's like, well, you know, it's like, you know.
How'd you develop that one? That's a good one.
You know why?
That's
Because
a good
I
one.
was in
Spent
a little
2 years in
emasculated
COVID.
little he-him
Yeah.
living in New York. And I would sit in my room and watch his lectures with my fucking head would explode. I go, holy, this is all the shit that I think and feel, but I haven't been able to articulate.
He's a brilliant guy.
And my life changed forever. Once I heard him say that, tell the truth, at least don't lie, and my life just changed.
Yeah, I think that this kind of stuff does happen. I think that it happens with everybody, and I think that there are also instances where, there's always going to be racism, because I think people are just racist. That's what they do, right? That's how they're programmed. So I think that's the way it goes. I mean, it's the same thing with, that Disney thing. I mean, I grew up as a minority in, the place that I grew up in, and, I would hear racism, but, it's just usually, it was not really... there's a very big difference between, teen guys, being oh, yeah, we're going to call each other these, racial slurs as, a form of, friendship, right? That's the way guys are, or at least, a lot of my friends were. And, there's a big difference between that and also, actually doing it at, a structural level, right? Yeah, very true. Yeah, definitely. There's jokes and actual racism. Yeah, there is. And I think there's a lot of people also... I think that a lot of this is perpetuated by people that have a really strong sense of internal guilt. And I think that what they do is they try to overcorrect because of that internal guilt, and they want to be seen as virtuous. I think almost all of the cases of why this stuff happens is actually, not all of them, but I think a good proportion of them, I don't want to say all, but a very good proportion of them are actually not because of anything other than that person wanting to feel like they're a good person. That's it. That's the only reason why they're doing it. So yeah. It's literally virtue signaling? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Humans will always be racist until we meet an alien, then we'll come together and hate them. You're absolutely right. And, whenever there weren't, a lot of minorities in America, or as many, you had white people that are like, oh, well, these are the Catholics, and these are the Italians, and these are the, Protestants. And we'll always find a reason to kill each other, right? We always will do this. It's going to happen forever. So, if you put, 100 white people in a room, then, if there's no other minorities, everybody's white there, they'll figure out something. They'll figure out a reason for it. It's not like, oh, well, it's just if nobody's the same color, it's gonna be it. What if the aliens are hot? Well, that'd be perfect, right? Women versus men. Yeah, there you go. Like prison. Yeah, exactly. It's always what's gonna happen. Yeah, that's built in our genetic code. I think there's an ancient Arab proverb. My dad used to always tell me. It said, me against my brother, me and my brother against my cousin, and me and my brother and my cousin against the world. And I think that is a very, very true thing to the human psychology. Is extremely very true. People will always find a reason to complain and get mad at somebody else for one reason or another. So yeah, do you think it's problematic that there are words you can't even say anymore, even in an academic sense? Words should not have that much power that we can. I don't know. I mean, back in the day, we I remember we would read Huckleberry Finn, and the teacher was always calling on a white person to say it. And I remember they would get to it. And they'd go, is it okay if I say this? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. They would just fucking say it. Oh dear. Because we would, I remember it was me and Dylan, that guy, the bald guy comes over, show us your dick, Dylan. We went to high school together. And we looked at each other like, it's coming, it's coming. Full send it, yeah. Man, I remember that real well. Those were some good days. Bro, my teacher did that to me? Yeah, exactly. Bro, it's kind of pathetic to say people have always been racist, so let's just tolerate that. Don't you have any higher standard for society? I do. I think that you should hold people to a higher standard, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't expect the lower standard. The reason why you create the standard is because people are of that lower standard. You create the higher standard in response to the lower baseline standard. That's the whole logic behind it. So yeah, I think that's the whole point. I think that in general, if you hold people to high expectations, they'll meet them. And I think that if you don't hold people to high expectations, they'll also meet them. Yeah, a perfect example that in his life, Benjamin Franklin wrote about how Germans weren't white. Everybody does this. Yeah, people are always going to find out a way to do this. Yeah, zero tolerance policy. People are going to be racist, whatever. Does racism start with discrimination? I don't know. I mean, it starts with a lot of things, right? I mean, I don't know. The problem is that not everyone's held to the same expectations. Yeah, and that's the issue, right? Is like if you have that problem, that's huge, because then that rots everything. Like it's like a poison idea.
auf den Sommer mit deinen Freunden. Freunde, die mit dir...
Why are there always more incantations? Like, there's just more for, like, no reason. You have so many elements you need to be responsible for, too. Like, there's lightning, there's holy, usually fire, too, most of the time. Sorcerers don't get any of that. Incantations have magic damage now, too. I mean, don't get me wrong or anything. Fleeting Microcosm is really cool, and I think you guys outdid yourself on that and everything, but, like, you started putting 2 elements on a single incantation before you could think of any new sorceries. Like, you tell me what I'm supposed to glean from that.
God damn it, pedestrians in this city are idiots. Anyways, this is Morgott McDiesel. Don't mind me, just rolled out of the lot here with this customly designed Z4 Roadster. Quality motor vehicles are a luxury here in the lands between. But the devs for Asphalt Legends have supplied me with this new ride here. And now I'm about to hop into some online matches and run some Honda Civics off the goddamn road. This game isn't just made for people who like Z4s. Asphalt Legends has a wide selection of over 250 hypercars you can choose from. The Porsche 911, the Finner Super Sport, the V2600 ankle brick. That's not real, I'm just making shit up now. You like racing through tornadoes and down landslides like goddamn Mad Max, punching a neon octopus in the face with the front bumper of your BMW? In Asphalt Legends, spectacle is the name of the game. It supports just about every mainstream console there is, both PS5 and PS4, Xbox, PC, obviously. It'll be available soon on Nintendo Switch, and you can even play this on your phone. We don't even have those here. If you think you can face me on the track, I'll be waiting for you at the ESL Finals at Gamescom on August 25th. If you don't forget your balls underneath your couch cushion, that is. The game is completely free to play, and you can secure special launch rewards by downloading it for PS5, PS4, Xbox, and all mobile devices right goddamn now. Also coming soon on Nintendo Switch.
Part of me missed this. I spent the last 2 weeks data mining, trying to think up some quick tips anyone could have figured out by just playing the damn game for a couple hours. The math is fun, but the tedium takes its toll after a while. And after spending such large amounts of time and energy with 79 stat tables open on a single monitor, driving myself into fits of delirium with equations maybe 2 people care about, I finally get to just point my finger and laugh at a bad idea for the next 50 seconds. Mantle of Thorns fucking sucks. I kind of feel like this is another example of the Morbius effect, where discourse was generated over the passive effects of the Briar set, and apparently we talked about it so damn much that FromSoft thought we enjoyed it when 95% of us were really just making fun of it and dunking on its dumpster tier damage. So they relegate that function to an entire spell slot, thinking their player base would just eat it up, just eat that shit right up with a fork. No, we hate this shit. Nobody who knew what they were talking about ever said this was a good source of damage. Why are you doing this? Why are we pretending the ability to stack with the Briar set is going to be enough damage to make a difference? It's a post-game sorcery. This slot could have been used for anything. You could have used it for another gravity spell, a glintstone nail phalanx, a chargeable vortex of putrescence that sends all the tar globs up someone's ass. Anything but whatever this shit is. Number 41, Rain of Fire, still broken. 1.12.3 came out and it's still broken, so I'm just ignoring it. Rain that sends all the tar gravity spell. A glintstone nail phalanx. A chargeable vortex of putrescence that sends all the tar gravity spell. Difference. It's a post-game solidity to we're talking about shit right up with a fork. No, we hate this shit. Nobody who knew what they were talking about ever said this was a good story. Charging the spell fully gives you bonus damage of 3. 3 damage. 3 damage per tick. Well, we definitely know the poise damage works well enough since I managed to sneeze over this poor Miranda flower 5 times before actually killing it, but half the DLC bosses either hop and skip around too much for poise breaking to be an optimal strategy, or they have a poise meter that's just a giant middle finger stretching horizontally for all of eternity. So that's it then. I literally can't find a single tangible good reason to ever have this in your loadout. I'm beginning to get scared. Like, is the damage actually intentional on this? Is it supposed to feel like a dragon with an apron and a spatula is just throwing fire particles at me like he's salting a fucking steak? Even the enemy variant of this incantation doesn't do anything. The one time it's ever used against you is just a mild inconvenience that reminds you cover spaces exist, and you should use them if you don't want your hair to get singed or something. Number 40, Minor Erdtree. You took the Warming Stone and made it into a spell. You took a fucking consumable item and you contorted it into a toilet tier spell that takes a modest amount of faith to even look at. And I'm supposed to like it because it makes a little tree and you played a sweet little musical motif in the village I find it in. Be fucked. I've already went over the healing values in a previous video, so if your back's breaking over 720 HP, then I suggest Warming Stones, Frenzy Flame Stones, Heal from Afar, your fucking Crimson Flask, you know, that tasty red bag beverage dangling off your utility belt like a fucking Christmas ornament? What if I don't have any flash charges left? Shut up. Go to the Elden Costco or something and order them in bulk. I don't care how you solve this problem, just figure it out. This is how Miquella's charm works. You get shitty returns for the deal built around some nice, cool lore and a heart motif that makes you feel ashamed for not liking it. Well, I'm not swayed. I'm not swayed because asking for 70 faith to use a tree-shaped warming stone with healing that doesn't even get affected by the Tree seal deserves to be the butt of every single joke in this community for the next 6 months. Number 39, aspects of the Crucible bloom. I don't know what this needs, but it needs something. It needs help. Maybe the upward adjustment in velocity and damage kind of help. Maybe it just needs a therapist. I'm an expert on neither, evidently. What even is the point of adding a charged animation if the casting delay is barely a quarter second long? Why is it even chargeable? Just take the charge cast and make it the regular. Fuck, it won't be ascending to godhood anytime soon, I promise. Might as well see what you can get away with. Attach a poison cloud AoE to the windup and spend the next 5 seconds of the cast animation dispersing your fart fumes around like you're trying to ventilate a freshly painted bedroom. Everything just comes up short. The damage, the bullet spacing, the amount of hits on an enemy, the casting time, just everything about it and around it is just missing something. Gets boosted by the fucking Crucible set, I guess, sure. 17% more damage from that holy drizzle you boost me. The casting thing just comes up short. The damage, the bullet spacing, the amount of hits on an enemy, the casting time, just everything about it and around it is just missing something. Gets boosted by the fucking Crucible set, I guess, sure. 17% more damage from that holy drizzle you can counter by standing under it with an umbrella. You're boosting nothing. 17% of nothing is still nothing. Number 38, Watchful Spirit. I tried really hard to like it. I gave it a good effort. I put in the good faith, and even after recognizing what the spell was supposed to be used for, I just couldn't keep up the facade for longer than a single video. The way this spell fires feels like it's pushing itself through a backlog of commands that never catches up. Why does the item description act like it's going after Mesmer? You know, that guy. The second hardest boss in the whole DLC? I don't think this spell can line itself up properly enough to blow out a fucking candle. You got a long way to go before you're ready to do anything within the county line of facing Mesmer. Maybe calm your ass down and start learning how to travel in a straight line first. Its single greatest utility is its ability to flinch smaller enemies and NPCs, which leave them open to whatever magic fuckery you feel like sending down their throat for the next 2 seconds. But that's taking into account 2 uncertainties. 1, if the goddamn projectile actually knows where the fuck it's going, and 2, if your desired target is mentally shoved enough to headbutt it on their way to attack you. Number 37, Divine Bird Feathers. This is the first spell on the entire list that I'm fully convinced is working as intended, and that's not a good thing. Shit, could have sworn I had an FP bar a couple seconds ago. What happened? Why am I feeling so tired? All I did was hold down this button for a few seconds. Now I feel like I'm sleeping off a hangover. These are all too common side effects of contracting the unfortunately widespread disease known as Divine Bird Feathers. You increase the likelihood of your contraction by carrying said incantation with you in your loadout, and likelihood of contraction is further increased upon extended repeated uses. If you find it in your inventory, it is recommended by doctors to stay as far away from it as possible and to completely forget you ever picked it up. Wow, the spell that throws feathers at your enemies actually does shit damage. I was excited to use this too because Elden Ring has a very established reputation for taking some of the most visually underwhelming spells and torquing them into the war machines that they are. Few strategies will ever be more effective than throwing rocks at fuckers like the dodgeball champion of the lands between, and apparently this logic just doesn't apply here for some reason. Number 36, Rotten Butterflies. If such a profound vertical nosedive plane crash of a spell can make it into the final release without any issues, I feel like the alpha build must have been pretty hilarious to play through. Look, if I need to hug the corner of a doorway and lure a dude into fencing with a brick wall just so I can have a large enough window to pop this off, I'm just going to assume there's better ways to spend my FP. The butterfly explosions seem to land with staggering inconsistency when targeting anything smaller than a double-decker bus, and on rare occasions you might not even see any of them hit a single time. I'm not joking, it almost never happens, but when it does, I sort of just sit there for a few seconds before disengaging from the fight and grace warping back to wherever the shit I was last, because nothing good can be waiting for me after that. The spell is already set up in a way that puts a lot of pressure on it, because getting it from Romina's Remembrance means there's only one big area left to go in the main story. And if I'm to give this spell one single plus, I will admit they actually thought to give most of the enemies in Inner Elim a rot weakness, including Radahn. They were on the right track, that's about it. Number 35, Electrocharge. You know, I see the idea, I respect it, doesn't work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. I'd get more damage walking around blowing toothpicks out of a straw. If the spell actually finds it within itself to get out of bed and land on something, the initial impact isn't really that bad, but the hitbox radius is incredibly small. I don't care how useful 262 base lightning damage is on any build. If the hitbox radius is small enough to the point where I have to be bicep deep into a knight's butthole, then I'm switching to KLS and I'm never looking at this toilet paper ever again. I found exactly one use for this, and that's to disable the uplifting aromatics perfumers like using so much. I just can't believe 59 lightning damage translates to this number versus almost any enemy in the DLC. It must not have that much to do with scatter tree scaling, because I get similar results taking it anywhere outside the DLC. Tried it on a first run, on a New Game Plus 4 save, same thing. Not even the Gravelstone seal helped anything. So save for the extremely niche bubble popping utility. If you don't land that initial burst, you just fucked it up. 26 FP straight into the paper shredder. Number 34, Furious Blade of Ansbach. Holy shitting hell, I didn't even pay attention to how high the stat requirements were for this. Most of the damage is going to come from the slightly delayed flame spout at the very end of the incantation. However, using it with the Godfrey icon will boost the triple slash part of the incantation without boosting the flame spout afterwards. I also like how there's just not an effect ID for anything in the whole attack chain, even though this is a blood flame incantation, which means it would, you know, kind of need one. Like, does it even fit the technical definition of a bug if they just deadass forgot to put bleed on it? But you can make a pretty nifty combo out of this and blood flame talons due to the quick recovery time on both spells. I almost wish the Ansbach attire boosted this. Having his name in the goddamn incantation not even being worth a tiny little damage increase is extremely surprising to me. Also learned today that his attire doesn't boost Bloodblade Dance or Blood Boon Ritual. I mean, it's not like they need any help, but like, why? Well, the entire spell is all fire damage, so at least it can still be boosted by fire damage tools, and the quick casting makes it pretty convenient for utility-related things like stunning finger creepers and resetting. Frostbite. Number 33, Massive Putrescence. God fucking damn it, it's hot in my room, Jesus Christ. There's just way too much weird shit going on behind the scenes of this sorcery here for me to recommend it until some changes get made. 41 FP for a giant glob of tar and frustration already makes me grimace a little, but this sorcery is just a buffet of glitches and oversights. The initial bullet goes through enemies, leading the subsequent Ghost Flame AoE to get tossed 10 feet behind whatever you're usually aiming at. I've already given the fire it at the ground advice for a little too many spells that probably don't even need it, but I can tell by the way this spell is set up that even that's not what you're supposed to do with it. The projectile itself still has poise and magic damage. Not as significant as the actual Ghost Flame AoE, but definitely weighty enough for me to prefer hitting my marks with it instead of lobbing it into the floor. It's pretty clear that this sorcery is supposed to reward accuracy, but then why does the first bullet pierce through enemies? Why is there no mention of it being chargeable in the item description? Why do the only two putrescent sorceries ask for a hefty amount of faith, but I need 15 arcane for a fucking frostbite weapon? Number 32, Dragon Bolt of Florisax. If you're jumping ass first into every boss, cave, and problem in the DLC, Dragon Bolt of Florisax is a wonderful incantation you could just throw onto your person without thinking too much. 10% more negation across the board. I mean, at least it doesn't fuck you over, but I'm not exactly shoveling out my old hiking boots to go and complete the 19-step side quest just to get it either. It's a perfectly okay support spell. It won't save you an extra hit from General Shadow Clone Jutsu and his holy golden homunculus, but if you're still trying to figure out a boss moveset and you want to spend 10% longer getting your face punched out through your ass, that is the comfortable niche of Florisax. And once you're confident in your ability to take that boss down, you should immediately switch to a negation spell that's more specific to the fight, because that's how making decisions works. Most of you already know how I feel about shotgun buffs that try to cover a little bit of everything. They just end up doing a whole lot of nothing with no clear purpose or identity. And 10% negation feels less than ever before with how mean the DLC scaling is. Number 31, Spira. This spell was first used against me, and I think many others, in the town of Bellerot by a group of Hornsent using an unnamed catalyst that resembles a staff. Understandably, shit came out of my ass, because I interpreted this event as the subtle reveal of a holy sorcery, which sounded interesting. Well, after reading the description, I can confirm that my suspicions were half right. Okay, so fuck sorceries then, I guess. According to the rules of this world, sorceries can now just be wielded as incantations, if your prayer meter is high enough or something. Yeah, I'm a lore expert, obviously. Spira's vertical, I guess. According, I can confirm that subtle reveal of a holy sorcery, which sounded interesting. Well, after reading the description, I can confirm that my suspicions were half right. Okay, so fuck sorceries then, I guess. According to the rules of this world, sorceries can now just be wielded as incantations, if your prayer meter is high enough or something. Yeah, I'm a lore expert, obviously. Spira's vertical hitbox is deceptively high, as it can even hit the heads of dragons when they perch themselves low enough, usually after an attack. This makes it an optimal weapon against Ghost Flame dragons, and the incantation also has a mildly amusing interaction with Tibia Mariners, since the vertical hitbox is just barely enough to kind of tickle his balls when he rises up in the air with this stupid water geyser thing. It definitely won't hit consistently, but you can reach him with it every now and then. 160 base holy damage isn't breaking new ground or anything, and the lazy tracking sort of reminds me of a hungover uncle that gets up at 1 p.m. and takes 15 seconds just to remember how to put on a shirt. Number 30, Roar of Rugalea. We're 2 patches in, and this incantation hasn't seen a single upward or downward adjustment, and that makes me nervous because that means the idea of this spell being a shittier, physical version of Wrath of Gold wasn't by accident. I can't criticize this incantation too much in good faith, because when you set yourself up for it decently, the full charged attack can hit for around 1500, which is just barely climbing out of the recesses of mediocre and into the decent, I guess, territory. But there are a couple anomalies with this incantation that just don't feel intentional or right. Most notably, its severe lack of poise damage and the physical shockwave being able to swat fuckers through walls. It's great for knocking flyers out of the air, I guess, so add that to the growing list of ways you can hard counter those freaks. Slap Roar Talisman and Phlox Canvas on there and you can get the damage up to a pretty serviceable amount, only for 17 FP. It's proficient with the right setup, and it's got a few tricks up its sleeve I don't see a lot of people mentioning, but no poise damage or stagger values makes charge casting a huge bitch to pull off without getting in the way. And I'm not sure if I appreciate this spell forcing me to wear a fucking carpet on my head that doesn't match with anything else on my wardrobe. Number 29, Miriam's Vanishing. Miriam's Vanishing is in that awkward C to B tier wedge where you can say it's underrated and underwhelming in the same sentence and somehow be correct on both accounts. This spell is also surprisingly polarizing for a lot of people, I guess. I don't know, there seem to be 2 growing factions of players where one side thinks it should have a historical monument. I guess I'll be correct on both accounts. This spell is also surprisingly polarizing for a lot of people, I guess. I don't know, there seem to be 2 growing factions of players where one side thinks it should have a historical monument named after it, and the other thinks a jail cell should be excavated 1,000 feet into the earth specifically to imprison it. And for me, that's usually the strongest indication that the spell itself is just fine. It's the okayest dog of the okayest breed. And that's okay. Spells are allowed to be shitty sometimes. Not every problem needs to be solved by passing comet trails through your cock and into someone's face. You have a pretty massive command over the pacing of a fight with this spell. Whip out a phalanx spell and then abruptly close distance before comboing with another close quarter spell, or teleport backwards if you anticipate a far-reaching attack and then nuke someone's nuts off with a grav missile. With Radagon's icon and the new beloved Stardust Talisman, the speed basically gets elevated to Bloodhound Step on a staff. Nice meteor attack, Radon. Ever considered shoving it up your ass? Number 28, Divine Beast Tornado. I remember getting a comment in an earlier video suggesting that you could use this incantation to easily clear off barnacles from walking mausoleums. And thinking about it kind of just made me giggle, I guess. If we're so strapped for good news when it comes to half of these that we've started assigning them car wash responsibilities, then maybe it's time to just admit something needs to be looked at. The damage isn't bad. It comes with a nice little startup tornado that prevents small dudes from interrupting it before you throw it out, and catching someone on the end of it can deal its damage multiple times. There are some pretty appreciable benefits that come with using it, but the awkward spacing makes it way too unreliable for a main damage source. If it hits a wall or trips up a slope any steeper than a topographical map of Kansas, it's gonna piss right off with 24 of your FP and it's not gonna give it back. Granted, it is one of the most easily boostable incantations in the game since it gets a buff from both the Divine Beast Helm and the Enraged Divine Beast Talisman. But all that really does is drive an even bigger wedge between this incantation and other storm-related abilities like Stormblade, Storm Assault, Zaymor Ice Storm. Pretty much anything with the word storm in its name gets boosted by it. Number 27, Rellana's Twin Moons. When over half the DLC bosses hop and jump around like they're playing DDR with 2 staples in their foot, 3 seconds is wrathfully slow to put on anything, and it pretty much necessitates the use of poise boosting tools like Endure or another spell like Grav Missile to keep things from getting too silly. It's decent enough against Crucible Knights that use the tail incantations, or enemies with stomp attacks that fire shockwaves like Radon and Godfrey, but unlike the 47 FP required for you to show everyone your massive glowing ballsack, jumping needs 0. It has its own little proficiencies here and there, but if you have enough time to drag your ass through this whole cast animation, whatever you're trying to kill would have had no problem receiving a few glintstone nails or a sword between their legs, even if it is boosted by the CRS. Number 26, Wrath from Afar. Even though it's a shockwave attack, you need to be surprisingly accurate with this. One pixel off center, and whoever you're aiming at takes a dive in the complete wrong direction and into a spear rack or something. 18 FP to bounce fuckers off cliffs is a nice utility to have if you're the CEO of Mind, but most of us normies will probably look at the weapon in their hand and put 2 and 2 together all the same. Wrath from Afar, just like all its predecessors and previous iterations, is the king of style points. So as to say, it's completely unnecessary no matter what context. But it is fun when it works, sometimes. The knockback effect won't apply to targets who have freshly been knocked on their ass due to the game suddenly caring about rules and balance when it's to your detriment, so I'd advise against spamming this unless you're trying to break past a shield or something. I don't think I need to say much about this. It's like giving a lesson on how to open a fridge. Like, you just know. Number 25, Light of Mikola. Wow, I'm sure enjoying this interactive slideshow I'm playing right now. This is officially the first spell in any FromSoft game where I'm just really thankful we weren't given the boss version. Want to know what that would have looked like? Ah, cool. Exhilarating. And then it does 10 damage. The secondary Holy Rain doesn't track or follow the enemy in any way, meaning if you want something to receive the full damage, it'll have to stay under the initial orbital laser part of the spell for the entire time. It's got 20 poise damage attached to it, so you could pretty easily make a build that centers around poise breaking and load this out with Rock Sling or Stone Barbed here or something. That way, the laser bullet is more likely to trigger Stance Break, which then keeps them in line for the secondary rain. But even then, that's still a lot of guesswork for a spell that needs 72 faith and 48 FP. Tying it to the final boss of the DLC also gives it as little room as possible for it to actually stand out in any meaningful way. And I don't know how I feel about an orbital laser from the man himself being out damaged by a fucking chest bump. Number 24, Aspects of the Crucible, Thorns. This is the only new aspect incantation that, when I say the Crucible set improves its damage by 17%, actually goddamn means something. And its damage ceiling is still equal to that of cracking someone over the head with a wooden soup ladle. It's never gonna actually kill anything. Whoever you point it at is just gonna see a break-dancing hedgehog, and suddenly, out of nowhere, they begin to nurture an intense desire to stomp you into the pavement. It's just, look how much of a fucking pest I can be, the incantation. The hitbox displacement allows you to duck under and avoid some attacks if you have the forethought to actually know they're coming, but there is no Lord of Breakdancing in this game. This isn't a talent show, this isn't fucking Stomp the Yard. Stop dragging your head across the floor like Channing Tatum and swap that shit out with something that's actually good at killing things. Number 23, Midra's Flame of Frenzy. Having a spell that needs 2 slots is like being sold a car by a really shitty salesman who can't stop mentioning that it gets 15 highway. No matter how many bells and whistles it comes attached with, no matter how many talisman effects get triggered by it, you still have this aching pulse in the back of your head constantly saying that you could do better. It can Disney fast pass the buff from the Aged One exaltation because of how quickly it fills your madness gauge, and lighting it under the ass cheeks of the Scatatree avatar can make pretty short work of its second and third phases, but against smaller and even medium-sized targets, the inconsistency in its bullet spread is almost just not worth it. It can deal some adequate damage if more than a few bullets actually manage to not dive straight into the ground, but all of its shortcomings in addition to it needing 2 slots, and the best positive you can throw at me is that it activates a talisman slightly faster than Howl of Shabriri. Yeah, no thanks, I'll pass. Number 22, Land of Shadow. We should feel proud of this one, really, because after months of what could legally be called cyberbullying from this game's community, they finally got the hint and farted out a version of Elden Stars that doesn't swallow buckets of piss. It's easily capable of 2k damage per salvo, even without the appropriate talismans and tools. No one with the capability to dodge the projectiles ever seems that interested in actually doing so. And I can't believe they added this, but they even gave it an initial shockwave that swats enemies away from you while casting, and it sucks. And it's not that good, and you should honestly never try to time it with anything. This serves to further strengthen the theory that any given spell's efficiency can be determined at a glance, just by whether or not it launches an orb that goes forward fast. They're gonna etch my character's journey into a stone wall somewhere hundreds of years in the future, and it's just gonna be my lazy ass waving a tree branch around, shooting lines at people. Number 21, Vortex of Putrescence. Even though I placed it at number 21, I absolutely understand why people are mad at it. I would be more concerned if people weren't. It's a 2-slot sorcery that needs 29 FP and a solid investment in both intelligence and faith, while the boss's main weapon needs 15 arcane and inflicts frostbite for some reason. Of course I'd be pissed. I would actually think someone fucked with the files. But once I started testing it out, it felt strangely comfortable to use. There's 280 base magic damage packed into that Ghost Flame AoE. It literally can cannot miss against hyper-aggressive enemies. It hugs curves and corners like a fucking sports car. It can potentially hit twice in tight spaces if the bullet ring hits a certain way. Something I feel personally validated by because it happened once for me on complete accident, and the amount of times I tried to recreate it almost drove me up a fucking wall and into a nursing home. This is not a boss sorcery by any means, and that really sucks because I think a lot of us have this bad habit of judging a spell or a weapon or something almost entirely by how well it performs against one big dude with an HP bar so huge it's starting to curve around the planet. Of course, Vortex was never going to perform well in that environment, but fire this against a group of any standard enemies and nothing will even come close to touching you. Number 20, Ghost Flame Breath. The entire concept of this incantation just winds up being a giant meh for me, and I'm going to explain why the only way I know how. Think about your favorite video game genre for a moment. Maybe it's survival horror, maybe it's ARPGs, but no matter what it is, you probably have a very strict set of personal criteria that determines whether or not you actually enjoy it. If Elster found a pistol mob that fired giant carnivorous sharks at her enemies, it would be pretty cool, but you would respect that game inherently less for what it is. I respect Dragon Ice because it has a proficiency. I respect Glintstone Breath because it has a fucking proficiency. Ghost Flame Breath is perfectly average, and there's nothing really wrong with it, but that's exactly what annoys me about it. It's only a capable incantation because every would-be proficiency has been neatly trimmed down to make a perfectly well-rounded, zero-risk, unobjectionable snore fest. It's a little frostbite here and a little magic damage there, while striking a comfortable FP cost that hangs right in the middle between the generic and the named dragon incantations. It invokes no ire, yet arouses no excitement. It's a mid-afternoon nap in an incantation, and I'm sick of fucking talking about it. Number 19, Golden Arcs. You know the one thing better than Deathbirds and Ghost Flame Dragons? Not having to look at them. This is exactly the purpose with which the Golden Arc spell was intended. It's easily spammable, it only needs 12 FP, and every shred of its existence still gets eclipsed by an ethereal dinner plate. It's hard for me to say in genuinely good faith that using this versus Discus of Light in any context will give you better results. It's hard for me to say that because it's not true at all. One is vastly easier to spam and cast repeatedly, only needs a quarter of the FP compared to the latter, and gets boosted by the strongest New Game Plus seal in the game. And the other can't pierce enemies, constantly gets caught on walls and doorways, and needs a 20% boost from a seal that would have gone to better use as a chewing toy for one of Radagon's dumbass dogs. This incantation was made with no mission or motive behind it whatsoever. As long as it moved forward and had pretty particle effects, they knew we were going to grab our forks and dig right in. Number 18, Rings of Spectral Light. And if it actually did get helped out by the Prince of Death Staff, it probably would have scored a little higher, but right now this is where it's going. On that note, what happened to all the boost effects in this DLC? Obvious exaggeration aside, it feels like not a single one of them even works the way they're intended. Ansbach's attire doesn't boost blood incantations, none of the new Ghost Flame sorceries get boosted by Prince of Death Staff, Godfrey Icon just doesn't work with half the new shit it seems, Dryleaf Seal is supposed to boost everything Mikola related, improves damage on the vanilla Frisbee incantations instead, one of the most privileged subtypes of magic in the entire game, but can't find it within itself to help out the one incantation with the man's name in the fucking title. What spell are we talking again? Oh, fuck. Okay, Spectral Light. So, using this spell as a linchpin is behavior of the mentally crammed, the stuffed, the ones who wake up every day forgetting all the shit they learned yesterday. That's because 50 base magic damage and 15 frostbite buildup is barely enough to chip the paint on a car, let alone flinch a dragon. But in situations where ranged combat works better, slow and steady wins the race. It won't do anything significant right away, but give it a few casts and have it work alongside Zaymor Ice Storm, Dark Moon GS, other frostbite tools in your arsenal, and you'll slowly start to get why people like it so much. It's easily spammable, easily chargeable, it's just a little groggy when it wakes up is all. Slap it in the right spell loadout, and you'll honestly never take this off. Would have ranked this a lot higher, honestly, had it not been dealing with a bug infestation currently, but it's not like this list isn't going to change 3 times in the next year anyways. Number 17, Bale's Flame Lightning. Bonk users and Bale users are of surprisingly similar ilk. They both take a simple but unrefined caveman's approach to solving all their problems. Think of this as one giant bonking stick, only it's a dragon's flaming toenail instead of a big-ass club. It deals physical damage, it does fire damage, it does lightning damage. You can whip out the Excel sheets to maximize a certain kind of damage if you really want to, but no matter what your build is, whoever gets hit with this point blank is gonna have a really shitty day. If you're a flame lightning enjoyer, you're a bonk enjoyer, and that's perfectly okay. It has barely enough hyper armor to be usable against anything in the DLC, despite getting it from one of the strongest bosses. It needs a little help in some areas, but if you're part of the Bale fan club, you didn't give a shit about anything I just said, because you're too busy calculating the rotation of the Earth and the current wind speed in relation to the direction you should be facing to maximize the amount of fucked your target's about to be. Number 16, Cherishing Fingers. Okay, so I'm genuinely having a bit of trouble with my opinion on this one. Firstly, that item description is not a bit or a fib. The projectile deflection is legitimately that good, and you should be using it. The window of deflection is way too long, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that changes in the next patch or two, but the lower than average cast speed makes the AoE damage a pretty valuable asset against hyper-aggressive enemies trying to get in a hit. The thing is, you will almost never be in an environment where both of these talents can be used to their full efficiency. It ends up being very, very good at two completely separate and mutually exclusive things, making the efficiency ceiling for this sorcery unrealistically high. Whenever I cast it, my ancient reptilian brain starts backseating my ass and telling me, oh, I should have used it for damage instead, or oh, I should have used it to deflect that projectile instead. And if I'm being honest, 20 FP per cast is a hard sell if I'm only using it to deflect spells when Thops's barrier tends to take care of that niche just fine. It is a pretty brilliant defensive sorcery though, especially against small enemies and NPCs with no poise. Number 15, Bale's Tyranny. This would have easily been top 5 for me had it not been for a single, extremely harmful interaction the initial blast has with groups of enemies. Mainly that it can only ever hit one at any given time. No matter how massive the mosh pit is that you got stuck under, the roar will deal its full damage to exactly one enemy in the crowd and then fuck right off, never to be seen again. This is a glaring problem for an incantation that needs 46 FP to cast. It's also one of the most easily boostable incantations in the entire DLC. It deals both fire and lightning damage, making it compatible with 2 different Scorpion charms and elemental tiers. Then there's Talisman of Dread, stacked on top of whatever generic buffs you can think of. Then the Roar Talisman. Nope, fuck you, that doesn't work either, not in the current patch at least. Alright, throw that in the pile of shit that doesn't work, that, strangely enough, exclusively contains boosting effects at this point. Fortunately, the bug doesn't affect its use against single targets, meaning its only current proficiency is in fighting bosses or big dudes with giant health bars. And thankfully, there's no shortage of those guys in the DLC. So despite this bug sounding obvious, I'd wager a large percentage of people didn't even know it was there. Number 14, Glintstone Nails. Right around here, when the competition started getting as fierce as it did, I took a couple steps back and realized just how polarizing the new DLC spells really are compared to everything in vanilla. The mediocre tiers are kind of barren for the most part, so just because this is where it's at doesn't mean it isn't one of the most dedicated workhorses you'll get tired of using in a week. Use the single shot for damage, use the multi-shot for poise. I always felt like that was clear enough, but I honestly feel a little peeved by the amount of people who are outright dismissing the possibility of the multi-shot version being even remotely good just because it's 23 FP. I mean, I know the single shot's better, obviously. It's like someone took GGS and wired a 5-cylinder engine to its ass with barely any compromise to damage. Of course it's going to be better. But the multi-shot has some talents it brings to the table, and I'm very uncomfortable with casually dismissing those talents just because people don't know how to manage their FP supply. With 4 charged casts, back to back, the multi-shot can stance break a horned warrior from full poise. That is gravity bolt level kneecap popping strength right there, probably even a little more. There is an obvious issue with this, as the FP it needs makes it pretty clear that this isn't really suited for repeated casts. But the incremental tracking means it'll almost never miss against hyper-aggressive enemies. The stance break means it's compatible with critical hit talismans like both Assassin's Daggers and the new Blade of Mercy talisman, and it gets boosted by a staff with one of the highest damage ceilings in the game. Number 13, Giant Golden Arc. I'm going to explain to you why this is good without using the words horizontal hitbox like 700 fucking times. Firstly, pierces through enemies. That's already a huge win over the basic bitch arcs. The main bullet also has a fairly noticeable amount of tracking on it, which actually ends up being a huge help since the bullet acceleration is so slow. It technically also doesn't pass through walls, but it kind of does. It's better suited for tight indoor combat than people think. I've replaced everything with nail bullets so you can see exactly how it travels. The main bullet is really just one single particle at the center of the arc, and the actual hit bullets that do the damage spread horizontally outwards from it. So if you're aiming it through a tight doorway or something, as long as the literal dead center of the arc doesn't hit a wall, the whole thing's just gonna pass right on through. Charging it ups the base holy damage to 265, which for comparison's sake is just shy of the Envoy's Great Horn Bubble. Number 12, Glint Blade Sake is going to pass right on through. Charging it ups the base holy damage to 265, which for comparison's sake is just shy of the Envoy's Great Horn Bubble. Number 12, Glint Blade Trio. The trio and the single shot, 2 halves of the same coin, like chocolate and vanilla, or Jay and Silent Bob. You just cannot use one without the other. Or at least that's the way I think about these sorceries. Everyone else seems a little too busy trying to lynch the trio sorcery just because it's less damage per FP. Weren't we all bitching barely a month ago about how multi-hitters were some of the most visibly and noticeably torqued spell options that constantly left single projectile spells in a sand ditch somewhere? I can't even get mad at that bitching because my dumbass videos are probably the epicenter of it. Well, the trio has proficiencies that the magic glint blade does not. Most notably, poise damage and shield break potential. This is the Great Blade Phalanx, this is the Karian version. Just think of it like that. One breaks your ankles, the other stops you from talking. Each glint blade in the trio inflicts 6 poise damage when charged, almost doubling what you'd normally get from a charged magic glint blade. And you also have 111 stamina damage versus the single glint blade's 75, making it a solid option for punishing shielders. It's fine, okay? Just use it. The damage deficit isn't even really that bad, and you'll be knocking over dragons and black knights noticeably quicker with it. Just give it a chance at least. Number 11, Fire Serpent. Most players would consider this incantation S tier. Some would even rank it in their top 5, but the very beginning of S, I think, is the exact appropriate placement for the Fire Serpent. It's fun, it's easy to pick up and use, it deals wonderful damage against just about anything that doesn't have a specifically high fire negation. The charged cast animation is barely a quarter second slower than the standard cast, leaving almost no risk to just always charging it. And had they not fucked up the range as badly as they did, this could have easily been a top 5 spell for me. I've lost count how many times I think I'm judging the distance perfectly down to the pixel, and it just fizzles out 2 inches from the nose of whoever I'm aiming at. But even still, it tracks enemies automatically without the need of a lock-on, and you can always use it to reset. Alright, bitch, top 10, here we go. Glintstone Nail. There's just so many hidden little benefits that come with this one. Finger sorceries are already extremely easy to build around since the Maternal Staff and Finger Rope each boost its damage by a significant amount, yet it's also compatible with any magic boosting items in the base game. Terra Magica, Crystal Tears, Magic Scorpion. I'm not going to take you through the whole shopping list, but there's a lot. You know there's a lot. People have commonly compared this to the GGS sorcery, but its range is more similar to something like Magic Glint Blade. It's the perfect solution for handling aggressive enemies and bosses due to its delayed 5-part firing sequence with impeccable tracking. Even against incredibly agile enemies like Cirque Blades, it's very difficult to not land a hit with it. The way it moves, it honestly feels like it's alive at times. A little white permanent Sharpie of war and violence. Whatever you send this little pixel after, it will hyper-focus on it like a salivating dog, and it will not stop until either it hits its mark or it headbutts a wall or something. It's no KLS, but it's got one of the best FP to damage ratios in the whole goddamn business. Number 9, Mesmer's Orb. Holy shit, this spell is fun. This incantation is what Magic Johnson would have used if he was a goddamn chaos wizard. Just slamming a basketball of fuck fire right into the ground and giving everyone within the county line an extra shitty Monday. I've seen a particularly high volume of really weird takes surrounding this one too. I've seen people talk about how lackluster their damage is, throwing around words like pathetic and irredeemable, like Mesmer himself tracked them down, fucked their wife, and then spit in their dog's open mouth. 411 base fire damage, and 35 poise damage. Do you know what good damage looks like? Or fuck that, do you even know what words mean? The hyper armor isn't great, but the rapid hitbox displacement honestly makes up for most. The uncharged cast animation is quicker than most basic sorceries, and throwing a Bullgoat's Talisman on any medium weight set can give you enough poise to take at least one slap to the face before you get swatted out of the air. I don't know, maybe I'm just using against the wrong enemies, but I honestly feel like I have to try to fuck this cast up. So what if it requires a little bit of timing to get a hold of? 411 base anything damage just doesn't ever belong in the same sentence as bad. Unless it's this exact sentence right here. Number 8, Multi-Layered Ring of Light. Let's be honest, if it actually was a Golden Order incantation, they would have just nerfed it after the first like 2 weeks. But it does get boosted by the Dryleaf Seal, so there's no reason you can't whip out the Akimbo Sacred Seals and just cast it with the Golden Order Seal instead. Even outside of the DLC, you'd be looking at upwards of 2,000 damage from a charged cast on a build that's fully equipped for it. And that's not even counting buffs from Crystal Tears and other spells and stuff. This little golden buzzsaw is just good at goddamn everything. It's good for single targets, but the wide radius makes it good against small groups too, and the initial bullet usually flinches medium-sized enemies out of attacks, making it pretty decent as a reactionary cast. And it's not a Golden Order incantation, which means its only stat requirement is Faith. If you're looking just for FP efficiency, then nothing is ever going to beat the Discus. Like, that's just not going to happen. But the versatility of the multi-layered ring makes it a very strong second place finisher when it comes to holy golden saw blades. Number 7, Blades of Stone. Charging it has a very interesting interaction where the sorcery splits into 3 groupings of stones instead of 1, but they each deal the same amount of damage as its uncharged version. This makes Blades of Stone the owner of one of the largest gaps of power between its charged and uncharged casts, since charging it can potentially result in 3 times the damage if it's casted normally. This also might explain why it doesn't currently work with Godfrey's icon, and I have a feeling they're gonna ignore that bug for a while because 15% more damage on top of what already punches through motherfuckers like a pneumatic hammer would be enough to cave the entire game in on itself. The 2-slot cost is a bit of a turnoff, as it always is, and having to choose between this and the Sword Lance does kind of break my heart a little. But then again, you can always just dupe shit, so not like that matters. It's even got a little something for lore nuts in the description as well, confirming this spell was a byproduct of Gaius and Radon constantly kicking the shit out of each other, which is even hinted at in gameplay since most of their gravity magic looks very similar. Number 6 and number 5, Fleeting Microcosm and Gravitational Missile respectively. You know what? Fuck competition. I like them both. The most notable difference between these two spells is actually one that's not even intended, as this is yet another spell where the Godfrey icon doesn't boost even when charged. Aha! Get fucked, me! Just double checked myself and the Godfrey icon doesn't boost the Grav Missile either. Fucking... Does this talisman work with any of the new stuff? I feel like I keep noticing this. The damage pacing of each sorcery is incredibly similar, with an initial pre-release bullet or group of bullets that usually deals a small amount of damage, followed by a detonation bullet where most of the damage is packed into. Microcosm's damage outpaces the Grav Missile by around 30 to 50 depending on whether or not it's charged, and it also deals all of its damage much quicker compared to the missile. The recovery time is surprisingly quick, even on the charged cast, so if you're quick enough you can cast it and then immediately rush forward towards an enemy with a weapon skill that can potentially hold them in place to receive the larger slice of its damage. The key to the Grav Missile, however, is in its versatility. It can pull fuckers in, push them away, it can knock fuckers over, it can hold fuckers still while you get ready to beat their ass with something equally or more intimidating. It can even be yeeted right into the floor, which causes the missile to detonate immediately, allowing it to combo with other Grav sorceries like Gravity Well and Collapsing Stars. In addition to needing 8 less FP to cast, this is what ultimately points most players in the direction of the Grav Missile. Microcosm is great when it works, but lining something up with the Grav Missile always feels much more comfortable. Number 4, Heal from Afar. Fuck every other healing incantation in the game. I don't care what your build is or how much faith you have, you need the shit out of this spell. Heal from Afar takes advantage of the same utility as Projected Heal did from Dark Souls 3, meaning that it can be thrown into a wall or a nearby surface to heal yourself, as opposed to sitting on your hands and waiting through an incredibly long casting time that almost always results in a troll smashing your head through his knee before the game gives you your controller back. Keep in mind, healing casted with the Erdtree Seal gets a really helpful bonus from your faith stat, so you can easily be tossing this into a wall and healing yourself for around 1300 HP in just a split second. Like only barely more time than it would take to heal using a flask if your dex is solid. You can even speed up the casting time with Radigan Icon and the new beloved Stardust Talisman. This is just unreasonably strong. Like why even use a flask at this point? Number 3, Pest Thread Spears. This might be my most obvious top 3 in any list ever. We might as well just wrap it up here. But sometimes plot twists aren't necessary to advance a story or further your enjoyment of a good movie. Sometimes you just want to pop in a Michael Bay film and watch fuckers explode. I wasn't expecting any groundbreaking performance from it at first glance because at higher levels, multi-shots almost always tend to be the way to go. But Pest Thread Spears is such a capable double-shot magnum revolver of a spell that as long as I'm doing good damage, I just don't care what's more effective and what isn't. It's as simple as locking on to a single enemy and thinking, wow, imagine what a better place the world would be without you specifically in it. And then you just go and prove it to everyone. It's gotta be the most damage for what could be the yuckiest spell in the game, right up there with farting AIDS mist behind people's backs. And miraculously, firing a massive pair of milk missiles from your tits puts you on a similar power level as God himself. Number 2, Knight's Lightning Spear. I don't think I could make a joke about KLS that would be any better than if I just showed you the spell and just started laughing. It proves without dispute that no matter how many moons we pass through our ass cheeks, no matter how many different status incantations you give us and how many talismans we throw on top of it, the king of everything will always travel in a straight line. You like lightning spears? How about 7 of them? 7 of them at the same goddamn time. There's always been a bit of an arms race going on between fire and lightning over which element makes the game easier. Fire got some really cool weapons like Blasphemous Blade and Mog's Sacred Spear, but those weapons could have been made out of tape and staples and still would have ended up the way they did. Retroactively speaking, lightning was always the nepotism baby, and now it's just getting its dick sucked. I don't even know how they made Electrocharge as bad as they did, but that couldn't have been easy. That had to have been the byproduct of sabotage or something. We already had access to Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike and Ashes of War like Thunderbolt. We really didn't need any bonuses on top of Dragon, the Blade, Fire, everything. No, I don't put mist behind damage B without you as that way to go. But Pest Thread Spears is such a capable double-shot magnum revolver of a spell that as long as I'm doing good damage, I just don't care what's more effective and what isn't. It's as simple as locking on to a single enemy and thinking, wow, imagine what a better place the world would be without you specifically in it. And then you just go and prove it to everyone. It's gotta be the most damage for what could be the yuckiest spell in the game, right up there with farting AIDS mist behind people's backs. And miraculously, firing a massive pair of milk missiles from your tits puts you on a similar power level as God himself. Number 2, Knight's Lightning Spear. I don't think I could make a joke about KLS that would be any better than if I just showed you the spell and just started laughing. It proves, without dispute, that no matter how many moons we pass through our ass cheeks, no matter how many different status incantations you give us, and how many talismans we throw on top of it, the king of everything will always travel in a straight line. You like lightning spears? How about 7 of them? 7 of them at the same goddamn time. There's always been a bit of an arms race going on between fire and lightning over which element makes the game easier. Fire got some really cool weapons like Blasphemous Blade and Mog's Sacred Spear, but those weapons could have been made out of tape and staples and still would have ended up the way they did. Retroactively speaking, lightning was always the nepotism baby, and now it's just getting its dick sucked. I don't even know how they made Electrocharge as bad as they did, but that couldn't have been easy. That had to have been the byproduct of sabotage or something. We already had access to Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike and Ashes of War like Thunderbolt. We really didn't need any bonuses on top of it. Yet we were delivered a direct upgrade to Lightning Spear capable of doing over double, maybe even triple its damage, another biome where it never stops raining, and the shitty plumbing system in half the boss arenas that douse the place in water. Putrescent Knight, Golden Hippo, pretty much all the hippos actually, the Scatter-Tree Avatar, and even side bosses like this dumbass Deathrite bird that appears in Charo's Hidden Grave. If you're a Lightning fan, you are feasting right now with this DLC. Okay. How the fuck do I even intro this? You know those jokes I constantly make about how if something's overpowered, using it should take you right to the end credits? Yeah, I don't think that's a joke anymore. I am an avid complainer and active rejecter of the whole nerf-only approach a lot of studios take to game balancing. It's a very reductive way to balance something in my opinion, and I think it just tends to make games less exciting in the same way that buff-only solutions can easily lend themselves to power creep. If you ever hear me say something needs a nerf and there isn't flavor text on the screen or a shitty joke somewhere in its delivery, then I don't know how much clearer I can make myself. Impenetrable Thorns doesn't have problems. Impenetrable Thorns is a problem. I hope to God this isn't intentional, but I also don't know what mistake would have led to it doing the damage that it does. I can't even say with confidence it wouldn't still be broken if the bleed buildup took a hit. It's way too strong, but it's also difficult to specifically point to why. The bleed buildup definitely doesn't help, but it also deals 125 base magic damage 9 times in a row at point blank. You can cast it repeatedly, it only needs 15 FP, and the range is enough to reach most bosses from clear across the room. Every little thing contributes to this spell being what it is. All I know is if I have to literally double a boss's HP just so I can get a long enough stretch of footage to complete a single fucking sentence in this script, I think you can afford to make a few adjustments. Of the downward variety, preferably. I don't know why I'm bemoaning the fact that they gave us a sorcery that chews through the whole DLC in like 15 minutes. We all know what their track record looks like. We all know exactly what's coming. They're gonna see the community feedback and decide Thorns is way too strong, and they're gonna look at it and be like, all right, we can definitely turn this down. All right, let's turn this down a little bit too. Maybe up the FP cost a little. All right, let's test damage. Ah, cool. Nice. Thanks. How fucking brilliant of you.
I collected 2 golden wows. What the fuck, man? Fortnite? I don't know, Inescapable Friends isn't the same anymore. So there's nothing up here. Right up nothing. Oh. You faggot. No fucking way. No fucking way. Oh. Oh. I think I fucked up some quest lines. there's no grace at all. No chance of grace. Bro.
Lass dich in besonderen Momenten vom Magenbrennen und saurem Aufstoßen nicht ausbremsen. Probier Gaviscon. Es formt eine Schutzbarriere auf dem Mageninhalt. So wird das saure Aufstoßen mechanisch verhindert und die Speiseröhre geschützt. Dadurch kannst du die schönen Augenblicke wieder genießen. Lebe den Moment mit Gaviscon. Dies sind zugelassene Arzneimittel. Lassen Sie sich von einer Fachperson beraten und lesen Sie die Packungsbeilage.
Wenn du den Genuss gefunden hast, willst du es niemals endet. Magnum Bourbon. Die perfekte Kombination aus Glace, Gutzli-Soße und knackigem Magnum-Schoki. Magnum, lebt den Genuss.
Okay, so I had to triple check my counting on this list because I kept thinking there were 27 and then forgetting one of the healing spells that don't do anything. And after finding all 28 incantations in a little under 3 days with minimal help from wiki sites and walkthroughs, I can confidently say I'm still not tired of this game, surprisingly. I think the biggest reason why is I hear way too many people talking about the DLC content being too hard, and I feel like I'm the only one remembering the exact same things that were being said about the base game before videos with titles like Top 100 Ways to Dodge Waterfowl started being churned out like a month after launch. The difficulty level is fine, guys. The new Shido Tree system just has some growing pains, is all. Just give it a bit of time. Give it like 2 weeks. You like plowing through quiet neighborhoods and mowing down innocent road signs in your Honda Civic? Well, in Asphalt Legends Unite, I'm pretty sure there aren't any Hondas anywhere, but you can choose from over 250 hypercars like the BMW Z4 or the Porsche 911 Targa. I don't know a lot about hypercars, but that is a cool-ass name. Asphalt Legends Unite has some of the most impressive cross-play capability of any game I've ever even seen. Like, it supports just about every mate.
Forgive me. You too deserve your share of the reward. I'll mix up something special. If you find yourself weary of the weight of this life, then just give me the word. Sleep is a balm. An eternal sleep is an elixir. Is that so? Then take this. This concoction can coax even the oldest of dragons to sleep. For you, it will grant the sweetest slumber for all eternity.
Ooh. If I drink it, will I die? Why give me shadow? Why not the normal ones? I can.
I'm feeling rather lost of St. Trina.
Where's the one that sells me mushrooms? Wait, maybe I have to talk to her. I lost Great Rune broke, so.
Oh, there you good. Tell her that I'm striking out on my own. Don't worry. I've no mind to cross any of the guidance of kind Mikola remains etched into my very... It's only... There's something that I must... Kindly Mikola spoke of the vow he once made with General Radahn, and it is here the vow shall be honored. I am a Redmane. I must know the nature of the vow. I'll be out on my... There's something There is no need for concern. I will be true to my word. Though I do feel a hint of regret. Lady Leda, Honorable Ansbach, and warriors like you are all of a special breed. How glorious it would have been had we met in battle as sworn enemies.
Kindly Mikola has discarded his great rune. The fog that vexed my aging faculties has been lifted, and follies better left forgotten haunt me once again. Once I challenged tender Mikola, only to have my own heart rather artfully stolen. I knew not how weak I was. I believed that with sufficient mastery, even an Empyrean would be within reach of my blade. I could not have been more mistaken. Mikola the Kind is a monster, pure and radiant. He wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. There is nothing more terrifying. Righteous tarnished. Mikola the Kind makes my blood run cold. I am loath to admit it, but even at this very instant I wish to run very far away indeed. Righteous tarnished.
I don't feel it. It's broken. Kind Mikola's light is but... I stand tall, together, for Mikola the Kind. I don't know. Our mother abandoned her. She did not love us. We are her children. Must we be? Maybe that's kindly make love for all love. You come often. You enjoy things. I like finding. I like you.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Horn-decked beast from higher sphere delivered. With welcome, oh glorious, what a joy it is. Oh, dost thou hunger? Prithee, take with thee more. I've an inkling thou might have need of more.
Thanks.
I implore thee, but thou art sure to feel thy low.
Hello. Did you feel it? Miquella the Kind's enchantment appears. But while my devotion to kindly Miquella by my troth, I am not so sure about the other. No, wait. Perhaps this is a blessing in disguise. I can wield my sword to cull the undeserving, those unfit to bask in tender Miquella's presence. I should have thought of this earlier.
Bro is a psychopath.
Right. It's time to begin ferreting out those of us who don't deserve to be at kindly Miquella's side.
I want her cape. Who's Thriller?
Intriguing. What remains there to you presume us allies even now? I must profess, the spell mattered little. Uphold his covenant, Miquella shall, and in godhood redeem our ruleful clan. Then Marika and vilest Erdtree both will at last be from divinity rent. And surely, I contented. But first, the Impaler, Mesmer, must pay his due in vengeance for the flames. How could I allow myself to forget? Revenge alone assures me peace of mind. Think not to hinder me upon my, lest you too wish to.
Yeah, I don't think I missed anything. How do I get there? How do I get there? I will do like the south, the Centrino stuff, and maybe Bale before. Nah, Bale after. But yeah.